Let's hope this works. There we go. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Akalon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. I hope that you guys are really well. I hope that everyone's doing well. We're just waiting for people to filter in and sort of settle down, and then we'll probably play some games, react to some stuff. It depends, right? It's a Tuesday. It's the start of the week. Should be good. It should be good fun. I don't know yet what I'm gonna be playing or what exactly I'm gonna be doing today. What we're gonna be reacting to, probably some Reddit stuff. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see whatever life gives us. That's what we'll react to. Minoir, how you doing, fam? Smoking Monkey, how you doing, bro? Good morning to you guys. Yeah, Minoir. I hate editing videos. It took me 7.5 hours. 7.5 hours. And I still have to make a shit ton of thumbnails. Not having fun. Felt a bit under the weather over the weekend. Minoir, you are not alone. Although the weekend was fine. I woke up this morning, so I'm not thrilled that I obeyed that damn banner. What banner? 7. Yuku. Holy shit, 51 months. Part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. Go-Kart Mozart, how you doing? I went to bed, all right, at 8 o'clock this morning. Yeah? I got woken up at 11 with my stomach literally on fire. Like, it feels like something's burning in my stomach. Don't know what's going on, but it feels like something's burning in my stomach. And I have a back spasm that just will not go away. Like, my back is in absolute agony. So I get up. I can't do anything about the fucking burning stomach at the minute. So I just start stretching, right? I'm so tired. I've only slept for 3 hours. I'm very, very, very fucking tired. But, I'm here like fucking bending over, touching my toes or trying to. I can't quite touch my toes. I can get about this far from my toes though. Although that's a massive improvement considering when I started doing this about 2 months ago, it was about to my knee. Like I could go down, leg straight, to my knee with my hands. Now I'm about this far from my toes. So I'm getting there, right? Slowly but surely I'm gonna touch my fucking toes before the end of the year. That's the goal. So I'm stretching, I'm trying to get my back out of the spasm. It will not go. Eventually, the stomach, like the burn is just so bad that I can't focus on the back spasm anymore. So now my brain's like, wait, what the hell are we doing here? One of these two things have to be more important than the other, although for the life of me, I can't figure that out. So eventually, I go on a hunt to the fucking pharmacy for medication to take care of the burn, because I don't know what the fuck's going to solve it. So I buy this, because apparently it works, right? Gaviscon double action. It's supposed to be mostly for heartburn, but it will help if you have like a stomach ulcer or something, which I don't know if I have. I just know that I was in a lot of pain when I woke up. And I've got some like a pill of some kind that also helps with lowering the acidity in your stomach to hopefully take away the thing permanently, whatever the hell that is. And the only thing I can think that caused this was when I had stomach flu. I think the medications that I took for my stomach flu caused some kind of like either sensitivity or destroyed the stomach lining or whatever the fuck, the mucus lining, and that's why this is happening now. I don't know, right? But you're looking at a man that's only had 3 hours of sleep, so I feel great, ladies and gentlemen. Null Turtle Dog, how you doing, fam? Welcome back, my favorite South African content creator. Welcome back to you too. Metal fan, how you doing, fam? Greetings, Beta One and DJ Nation. I hope you all are doing well. I genuinely went back and forth on streaming tonight because I didn't sleep and I am tired. But I know I'm not going to fall asleep now, so may as well stream and see whatever the fuck happens, right? I don't know how many of you saw my tweet. Okay, Straz, how you doing? How many of you saw my tweet over the weekend about wanting to change up stream shit? Yam Times, how you doing? Kestraz, how you doing? Let's play some games. Jumps into the stream. Akalon, my stomach acid. Hope you're recovering. Artis, how you doing, fam? Albert, play AAs, how you doing, fam? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that. Silver, how you doing, fam? Alderson, how you doing, man? I saw you're finally gonna do OnlyFans content, right? Yeah, I'm gonna get my dick out and stream. Go kart. That's the idea behind it. No, I'm just not happy with where the streams are. I'm not happy with what we do in the streams. So I want to change it. I want to do something else. This shit's fucking wank, bro. Oh. Have a blast with Q&A. Q&A is still going to be there, right? I'm not changing any of that, right? It's more a case of how do I even begin to explain this? So I don't think anyone would be surprised by this, but I'm pretty ADHD, right? Especially when it comes to games. I don't think I have ADHD, just to be clear, but I'm pretty ADHD when it comes to playing video games or just doing anything, really. I can't do the same thing for too long before I get fucking bored. And then I want to do something else. Up until now, I've tried, at least, to run the streams more like what a normal person would run streams, you know? So, get a game, play that game on stream, you know, and try and finish the game on stream, although we never fucking get that done, right? Yeah, kind of like ADD, just without the hyperactivity. Sure, that's probably a good way of putting it. I was diagnosed as a child with ADD, but to be fair, that was during the Ritalin craze. I don't know if you guys remember that, when almost every child was put on Ritalin. And I was on Ritalin for a while, but I haven't taken that shit for years, right? So I don't think it's that. It's just... So here's a normal day for me. Let's go last night, right? So what did I do last night after I edited fucking 7 videos? More than 7, actually. I sat down. I started watching The Expanse. About halfway through the first episode of The Expanse, I paused and I did an ARAM. Then right after the ARAM, I wanted to do another ARAM. Then I got distracted with a YouTube video about a guy cooking potatoes 4 different ways. So I watched the guy cook potatoes 4 different ways. Then I went back to The Expanse. I watched probably like 15 minutes of The Expanse. Paused, played another game of ARAM. Right after the game of ARAM, I was in the mood for Anno 1800. So I decided to buy Anno 1800 because it was on special on Steam. Downloaded that. While it was downloading, I played another game of ARAM, watched the rest of the first episode of The Expanse. Anno was finished at that point, so I logged into Anno. I played for about 10 minutes Anno. Then I logged out of Anno, did another game of ARAM, and then I watched another YouTube video. That was my night, and then I went to bed. So do you guys see what I mean when I say I have ADD when it comes to life? I just don't. I can't do the same thing for too long. I get bored, right? So yeah, I literally can't do. I get bored. I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I've been trying to do the streams in this. I've been trying to do the streams in this way where I would, this is Hogwarts Legacy Day, and then we play Hogwarts Legacy. But then after about 4 hours of Hogwarts Legacy, I'm bored. I don't want to play Hogwarts Legacy now. It's not that I don't like Hogwarts Legacy. I love the game, but I'm bored now. I want to play something else, or I want to do something else. And maybe the best way to stream is just to stream in this fucking wild way, you know? Maybe that's the best way to stream. Just let you guys join me on the journey that is the fucked up nature of my life. And of course, you guys will not have a fucking clue what's going on half the time. Because, well, you'll be... Just as you're getting into one game, well, I'll be done with that and I'll move on to another game. So that would be fun. Mr. Demore, I'd feel like I might have that same problem, except it's less boredom and more bodily resistance or something. Can't figure out what's wrong. When I try to play games, didn't used to be the case for most of my life, just until in recent years. Hate it. I mean, I think if it stops your life from being, like, lived optimally, then sure, go see someone. I have not felt that way. I don't feel like it stops me from being optimal. Because when I have to concentrate, I can. Right? So, for example, when I have to edit videos, I can sit there for 7 hours and edit videos. It's not a problem. I can force myself to focus on just one thing and do that one thing. But if I don't have to force myself, I don't want to force myself, right? To react content between games to separate the boredom. If a loser, I can do that. That's some of the things that I've been thinking about, right? Is, play a game until I'm a little bored with it, then react and see how I feel after a react. If I feel good about it, we keep playing. If I don't, I play something else. That's probably a good way. I don't know if we'll start with that tonight though, because right now I'm tired. I want to sleep, actually. So I'm just going to sit here, chat to you guys. We'll react, and maybe we'll play a couple of ARAMs. And if I really feel like it, maybe we'll play an indie game. This is another thing that I wanted to start doing. I want to start having different days for different things in stream. So maybe, like, we'll have You Laugh, You Lose React Day, right? Where we look for the funniest videos on the internet and we'll figure out a punishment. So if I laugh, I have to drink something I fucking hate or eat something I fucking hate or whatever the case might be, right? Suck a hobo's dick if you lose or some shit like that. And then maybe have like a TikTok react day or whatever the case might be, right? So we just figure out different days and then maybe like an indie day. So we do like a Reddit thread. And on Reddit, you guys can suggest an indie game for us to play on the indie day. And on that day, whatever game has the most upvotes, that's the game that we play for Indie React. That isn't that stream? Caleb, pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Whatever, you do what you want. We love you anyway, Akko. Love you too, Go-Kart Mozart. It's just, I want to try and do more. I get bored with the streams the way that it is. And I don't want you guys to be bored here, I want you guys to enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. And for me to enjoy it, I'm going to have to embrace I don't know. The craziness, I guess. I bought this for the first time ever. I've never had this before. Well, I've had Druvors, obviously, but I've never had this brand. But I have to eat something because, you know, the medication is going to fuck up my stomach again, and I don't want that. So... It's not as fatty as I would want. It has very little fat, actually. It's not horrible. And I definitely don't like the fact that they have flavor enhancers in here. Like, get the fuck out of here. Why would you need flavor enhancers? And they put sugar in this as well. This is not... It's not bad, but it's not great either. I will not have this brand again. Papa Shanga, how you doing, bro? My Noir, was the button good? I'm telling you now, bro. If the rest of the world could just discover Bolton, I don't think you guys would eat anything else. Bland may be better right now. Fat's good for you, though. Purple Buds, how you doing, bro? Why does Deathwing already have a human visage form in the short when he defeats Raz when humans weren't even close to existing yet? I mean, it's not quite a human visage form, is it? It's more like a... It's more elven, no? Pretty sure it was elven. No? Let's see. Let's watch. What's it called again? Legacy chapters. Legacy... I think it's in Legacy chapter 3. Pretty sure it's elven. Let's just see. We'll see on the ears.
And I lost many friends this day. We fell back, regrouped. Then
Fuck.
Everything became jumbled, confused.
The artifact destroyed, and the order magic which had united the Drakthir.
Sex with the aspects. So my ranking for sex with the aspects would be Alexstrasza first, Ysera second, and then NA, NA, NA. Caleb. That would be just off the cuff, my sort of review.
Was dispelled. How then was Raszageth defeated?
Well, you're right. This is human. It's... It could also be... Humans could have already been around, just very primitive, right? It is possible. What would you guys say? Do you think that's possible? Because Bubble Buds, you do raise an interesting question here. This was very early on in the creation life cycle of the aspects. But there's no reason humans couldn't already have existed as a very primitive force. Very primitive, right? Wyfan, how you doing? Oradros, how you doing, fam? Dracula human, but were they there? No. The Drakthir are definitely elvish. Not human. If you look at their visage form, it's far more elven than what it is human. falling to the curse of flesh is Vrykul. Apocalypse has a good point. It could be that your earliest humans would all... Actually, yeah, 100%. Because the curse of flesh was introduced before the old gods were locked up. Remember, so here's the exact timelines. Apocalypse, thank you. Yes. The exact timeline. The Titans arrive on Azeroth. They rip Y'Shaarj out of the planet, right? Throw him away, because why wouldn't they? Realize, oh shit, she's dead. She's about to die. Well, we won't do that again, right? So we're gonna lock them up. But in order to lock them out, or lock them up, they first have to be pushed back. Their empire, so to speak, has to be pushed back, and then only can they be locked up. So now the Titans create the Keepers. The Titans create the Watchers. The Titans create their elemental or their construct, so to speak. It is then that the old gods introduce the Curse of Flesh. The Curse of Flesh, of course, then creates mortals. Primitive, maybe. Not yet that advanced, but the mortals would already be existing. And then the Titans decide to lock the old gods into the planet, right? So basically imprison them. Because, well, things were becoming a stalemate. It was going to take way too long for their armies to actually defeat the old gods in conventional warfare. So the truth is, there would have already been humans. What's more interesting is why someone like Deathwing would have decided to take on the human visage form, even if the humans already existed. That strikes me as more interesting. Titan construction. The problem with that, Kestras, would be humans specifically come from Vrykul. And Vrykul don't look like this. Right? So if he took on the visage form of Vrykul, where humans would eventually come from, he wouldn't have looked like this. He clearly took the visage form of human, and that would have been because humans would have already existed, the Curse of Flesh. So the exact timeline, the Curse of Flesh was administered before the old gods were locked up. And this happens after the old gods have already been locked up. The old gods have already been locked up at this point in the story. So there's no way that humans wouldn't have already existed. But humans would have been incredibly fractured, most likely tribes at best, very nomadic. Also, at that point, no real technology, no ability to really fend for themselves, because humans are arguably one of the weaker species in Azeroth, pound for pound. So it stands to reason that most humans would not have really... There wouldn't have been human kingdoms yet or anything like that. That would come much, much later. During the Age of Mortals, so to speak. That's when that would have happened. So, yeah. That's my initial guess, I guess. Yeah. Lothar was something, though? Yeah, but Lothar came much later. No? Yeah. Lothar came much, much later. When Lothar was around, human kingdoms already existed. So, yeah, Lothar, I mean, at that point, humans were already pretty strong. For humans are weak. Yeah, but humans are, we're just talking about physical strength. So what humans lack in physical strength, they make up for in strategic knowledge. Lothar's battles, for example, he usually won because he was the smarter fighter. Orcs became completely completely ravaged with blood rage. So they became stupid. They became angry, and they would just angrily, they would overpower their foe. They wouldn't go with strategy. Whereas he was able to keep his head in battle and that's why he won. But if you literally, orcs YOLO it, right? Essentially just YOLO, I mean, there we go. Whatever happens, happens now. But in a pound for pound, who do you think would be the strongest race of the mortal races on Azeroth? In my mind, it would be between Tauren and Orc, most likely. And maybe Draenei could also be in that conversation. Like, maybe Draenei, Tauren, and Orc. Mortal races playable, I should say, out of us. Because Ogres would be very powerful, that's true. Zug Zug. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to do. I don't know how you guys would feel about doing this, but it is something I've been thinking about. I might want to replay StarCraft 2. Like, all of it for the story. I never finished the last expansion for StarCraft 2. And I would love to see the rest of StarCraft 2 again. Because that is a game with a fantastic story. I mean, you want to talk about fucking amazing story. StarCraft has it. Tauren, but they're honest battle-oriented as orcs? Yeah, orcs much more for honor, for glory, for battle, right? That's very true. Are Vrykul mortal? Not really. They are constructed. So Vrykul wouldn't count as mortal. I don't know, AC, and I've always wanted to get into it. I mean, it is, oh my god, it's such a good story. It is really a good story. At least, in my opinion. Replay for the story. Wouldn't just watching a video be a better one? SC1 had a better story, though. S2, or 2S was awful, though, in comparison. Good campaign, sure, but story? I don't agree. I thought the StarCraft 2 story was still very good. Yeah, I still liked it. Just quickly want to see something here. Hold up. This Fnatic, what the fuck did you guys do? They shouldn't have gotten Reckless. They should have fucking never gotten Reckless. They should have kept Upset.
Alright, you got the other mount?
You have something here on your cheek.
I do. What? I have nothing.
Got him!
Have either of you built a PC before?
Yes, many times.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't. Okay, let's do it.
So have either of you built a PC before?
Yes, many times. You told me we were going to do this video and I thought about how will I be taken more seriously as a teacher. So what if I put my glasses like this?
Can you see that?
Not so well. Massive.
Upset still standing, the healing massive. Upset for now, leaving it in. He wants to finish, but Perk says not today. No! Upset! The shutdown! The hero moment! Hopes and dreams, can he keep them going? It's Upset! Are you kidding me? In the face of death, in the face of elimination.
He was so good, bro. He was so fucking good. And Fnatic lost him for Reckless of all
To the
people.
face of fate falling away from his hands. Upset says no. Fnatic say yes. Upset is the hero of Fnatic.
Humanoid's been exhausted, forced to flash for his life. The engage comes out and Tally is dead. Add one to Fnatic's Tally. A fantastic Fate's call. Secured. Upset with the triple, with the quadra. Looking for the pentakill. Not going to find it just yet. Topoon's golden. Pentakill!
We're in Mexico. Upset gets a pentakill.
Fnatic deserves to fucking lose the next split, bro. Sorry. I know you guys don't give a shit about League of Legends, but I do. So, yeah. Final, wait, FF6 better story than FF14? I never played any of the other Final Fantasy games, so I have no idea. I guess Fnatic are upset now? Dude, they have to be. They literally lost the #1 ADC in the West, at least. Although, I would say probably in the world. He's very close to being one of the greatest ADCs that ever lived. And they lost him for fucking Reckless, bro. So I guess you'll be playing FFX soon then? Why would I play FF10? Massey, why? What could I possibly gain from I don't understand. Rob the Fool, 7 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I only played FF Crisis Core. Fantastic game. What an ending. Wait, what's Crisis Core? Is that the more action combat one? Because I know there's like an action combat one that Preach played once. Or it seems a little bit more action combat-y. No, I know 16... 16 is also very, very fucking action combat, right? But 16 was designed to be very action combat. So, you know, there is that. What did Conor
Jake
McGregor
Paul
do?
responded to a video of Conor McGregor showing a boxing workout. He said, "This is embarrassing. Your chin is wide open with no head movement." Conor McGregor responded to Jake Paul with this.
Jackass.
Jake Paul responded to a video of Conor McGregor.
It's gonna be heads. It's almost usually heads.
Hey, baby.
Hey.
Did you put on pants today?
Nope.
It was funny at first. Then it became a daily thing.
Hey, babe, what do you want for dinner?
So you can say
there
whatever you
anything
want,
good
but you
yet?
need to also be ready for like the repercussions of what you say.
Okay, you're not free to say whatever you want if you get fired for an off-color joke.
Okay,
How will you feel when it's you who's out of step with the social mores
okay,
of the
and
day?
then you get the repercussions of what you said.
I think you're...
This isn't TikTok, Euro Effect. What are you talking about? This is YouTube Shorts. I mean, this isn't TikTok. It's almost as bad as TikTok, but it's not quite as bad as TikTok. Yeah, it's totally different. Like, in a completely different universe. Not even the same thing. One is on YouTube and the other one is on TikTok. How could you even think that they're the same?
You're still acting like this is something new.
How many women in this room would go down on Harvey Weinstein, the ugliest dude in the world, a disgraceful human being, for $1 million? You wouldn't do it, Joe? You wouldn't do it. For $1 million. $2 million.
There's a guy that literally just in the back there said, I would. My man coming in there with the fucking truth. $1 million, bro. I'd gobble that dick down. Of course you would. It's $1 million fucking dollars.
$3 million. $10 million. All right, how about this? How many men in this room would go down on the old lady from the Titanic for 100 grand? We fight the wars, we build the bridges, and we push our careers forward when necessary. We eat the old lady's pussy for financial gain, and we do it nicely, goddammit. We scoop her up out of a wheelchair. We'd lay her down on the posturepedic. We'd open up those arthritic thighs. We'd rub some Sorbeline on those varicose veins. We'd pull off that nappy. And she might be a little bit nervous, right? It's been a while. So we pretend we're on the Titanic, a bit of role play. Oh my God, it's an iceberg, I'm going down.
That is true, though.
How many women...
That is true, though. Die in poverty or brace myself? I think the choice is obvious. Yeah, pretty much, right?
You're not gonna believe what actually happened at the Jake Paul vs. Tommy Fury fight. To those people that think Tommy...
I don't care about this
pot, Mr. Ebb.
That competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity. Because I asked a lot of questions. You know, playing with Byron Scott, I asked him a lot of questions. Eddie Jones, who was great at chasing guards off the screens, and I didn't understand how to do that. I would sit with him before practice, after practice. Magic, James Worthy, Kurt Rand.
These are the four bodybuilders that define each era of bodybuilding. Starting with the Bronze era, we have the one and only Eugene Sandow. Eugene was 5'9".
Fuck, dude, look how small bodybuilders were before they discovered steroids. Suits is very good, but I can't watch it on stream. We'd get insta copyright.
And around 190 pounds on stage. He had 18-inch arms, a 48-inch chest, and a 30-inch waist. Up next for the Silver era, we have Steve Reeves. Steve came in quite a bit bigger than Eugene, with a height of 6'1" and weighing about 220 pounds.
Are we saying this is still natural, or do we think this is when steroids sort of became a thing already? I would say there's maybe a little bit of enhancement here.
He had 18.5-inch arms, a 52-inch chest,
Badanka,
and a
how you doing, bro?
29-inch
Thanks for the first time
waist.
chat.
Up
Really
next, the
appreciate
person
that.
defined the golden era of bodybuilding, the crowd favorite, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Here we
Arnold
go.
Even
Here we go. This is all natural, by the way. No roids here whatsoever. You can look like this too if you just buy one of those Instagram fitness videos. They just pay them and you'll look like this too. It's all natural, this.
taller at about 6'2".
This is all Frosties and milk. That's it. Post Toasties. A nice bowl of Frosties every day. You look like this easy.
And around 230 to 235 pounds on stage. He had massive 22-inch arms, a 57-inch chest, and a 30-inch waist according to GreatestPhysiques.com. And finally, we have the man that defined the mass monster era, one of the greatest of all time, Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie was only 5'11", but had 24-inch arms.
Look at this motherfucker. This guy, I think he won it 7 or 8 times, making him the guy that won Mr. Olympia the most. Here's the really horrible thing. Today, his entire spine has literally merged. Like, they did operations to put his entire spine as one thing. That's how much, like, he fucked his body up. He can't walk anymore as a result of his training. So, you know, I guess, look at the guy, but then realize that he can't fucking gym anymore. He can't walk anymore because he broke his fucking body.
I just learned something the other day. It was real bad news, and it really fucking pissed me off.
You sound nervous about this.
Well, it's a big fucking deal. We were going to play at the Cinerama Dome on the 25th. We were going to open there and play there exclusively for 2 weeks. And Star Wars was going to play the 2 weeks before us. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I think of the Cinerama Dome as a real big deal, and imagine seeing it at the Cinerama Dome. As of yesterday, Disney came to the ArcLight people and said, you are going to play Star Wars in the Cinerama Dome for the entire holiday season. They are going out of their way to fuck me.
I'm talking about Bob Iger. I don't give.
Well, fuck Disney. I mean, when's the last time Disney's been able to put out a movie on the same level as Quentin Tarantino? Like, just off the top of your head, please. Did you have every SDR a 20 character? What heavens? I still like them better in the off season. I cannot imagine cuddling someone that ripped. It would be like cuddling a sleeping bag full of building materials. True. I mean, fuck.
Give a shit about this theater. Quentin's a weirdo. Sorry, Quentin. The fucking kid, they got the stupid 70 millimeter. They got all that shit that he cares about. He just wants to show his goddamn movie there. You're sitting on top of the world. You got Star Wars. What do you need this? I want Quentin to show this new movie. He's worked his ass off. He wants the equipment. Hateful Eight. Would you do it for me?
I just learned something.
We currently have blacks, Asians, Hispanics, Muslims, and then you also know you have the lesser beings, birds, fish, women, but we need one more race. So
did you guys catch that? Please tell me you caught that. Please tell me you caught that. Oh, that was funny. So you have blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and then we have the lesser beings, birds, fish, women. Oh shit.
So I introduce you the white person. Okay, where do they rank in terms of intelligence? About middle of the pack. Okay, where do they rank in terms of physical prowess? About middle of the pack. And I see here that his is pretty average size, so I'm gonna go ahead and put down middle of the pack for that as well. No, actually, their are typically in the 4 to 7 inch range. I'm bigger. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Okay, how big are you? About 10 to 11 inches. Wow, shit. Okay, and you? Yeah, like 11 to 12. And 20 to 21 inches. Wow, so they're really.
Asians have 20 to 21 inches? What the fuck? What? Bullshit.
Really far behind average on this one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, definitely. Okay, and you sure you guys aren't lying? Because I'm going to have to even this out somehow. Yeah, I'm big. Yeah, no, I wouldn't lie about this shit. Okay. We currently have blacks, Asians, Hispanics, Muslims, and then you also know we have the lesser beings, birds, fish, women, but we need one more.
Moving out of the United States when I was 22 seemed like a great idea until I arrived in Asia and realized no one eats sandwiches. Whoa, my guy, that's kind of insensitive. Hey, chill out. There are cool things about Thailand too. The noodles are awesome. I'm close to
Why
family.
do you guys
and
not
now
eat
instead of being a
sandwiches?
short king, I'm just slightly below average. But not being able to walk into a shop and get a hoagie made by some sweaty dude in a wife beater leaves a small sandwich-shaped hole in my heart. It's the little things like this that make me think, maybe I shouldn't have given up my US citizenship. And did those sandwiches only taste good because that guy sweated on them? The answers to such questions I may never know. But I do know potato croquettes are a slept-on sandwich ingredient.
The truth of a good sandwich is the more greasy and risky the place looks that sells you the sandwich, the better the sandwich is. The same is true for fish and chips, for example, right? If you go to like a super clean restaurant where, you know, the fish is prepared by like an actual chef or something, it's never that good. You want to find like a proper greasy, fucked up hole in the wall where, you know that they don't have a sign outside so that the health inspector doesn't know that there's a restaurant in here. That's the place you want to go to, because that's 9 out of 10 times where you're going to get the best fish and chips. The other, like the 10th time, you're going to get diarrhea, but it doesn't matter, right? Because you had 9 good times at that restaurant, and you will be back. You will be back.
How is he making the chair float? Did he completely glue himself to the chair? No one in the comments could figure it out, so we're gonna try to figure it out. Our first thought was that he's holding the chair with his legs, but as it
I've never been able to afford first class, but figured I needed to try the food at least once. Got settled in with some legroom, champagne, and I was feeling very fancy. For the first course, I chose the tuna. They gave me a salad with it, which I politely returned, and the butter was frozen solid, but the tuna was incredible with a surprisingly good sear for being 30,000 feet in the air. Next,
I don't think I'd eat raw tuna. That shit just seems a bit fucking off to me. But fuck it. We literally have shops called fish and chips in every town. Yeah, we do too. Token. Where's the good
A company
videos?
from the US was doing a routine check on their VPN logs when they discovered a highly suspicious connection coming from China. Extremely worried that an overseas hacker had been stealing their confidential information, the company immediately hired Verizon to look into it. And when they did, they discovered something absolutely shocking. As it turns out, the suspicious connection hadn't been the work of a hacker, but the work of one of the company's very own employees, a man named Bob. During their investigation, Verizon had found hundreds of invoices from Chinese contractors on Bob's computer. Unbeknownst to his boss, for years, this guy had actually been secretly outsourcing all of his coding work to a man in China. And although Bob was only paying the man around a fifth of his
There was a kebab shop near me. Years I ate there. Great street vendor burgers. Then I got food poisoning. Still went back. That's just how it goes. I remember Apocalypse when I was in the UK. On my way back from work, like literally a block from my house, on the corner, there was an off license, and right next to the off license was a kebab shop. And just walking into that shop, you kind of knew you might die here. It just gave off those vibes that none of this have ever really been cleaned. They basically just sort of reuse everything, whatever isn't used today will be used tomorrow, that kind of thing. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, the best doner kebabs you could ever fucking buy. Hands down, the best thing you could ever eat.
Crazy facts about dictators. When US troops raided the palace of Saddam Hussein's son, Uday Hussein, one of the soldiers moved a concrete stone and pulled out a metal case. The case contained $4 million, and as the troops continued searching, they found case after case hidden in the walls of the palace. All told, the troops found $650 million, which was airlifted to Kuwait for safekeeping. When Colonel Gaddafi visited Rome in 2009, he pinned a picture on his jacket of the Libyan national hero, Omar al-Mukhtar, who led an uprising against the Italians in the 1920s and 30s. The photograph depicted the Libyan hero in chains being arrested by Italian colonial authorities before his execution. He also brought al-Mukhtar's son to Italy for the visit. The late dictator of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, was famous for his love of football and regularly played for his team Hallelujah FC. After playing a game against a team in the northern town of Karimba, he placed the manager and the assistant manager in prison for allowing their players to foul him, citing a conspiracy against the president. Crazy facts.
Well, that's a fucking soccer game you never want to be a part of. Like, imagine, right? You're about to play football and they tell you, oh, by the way, Kim Jong-il is going to be in the other team. What the fuck do? You're like, bro, we can't win. If we win this, we're off to the prison camps forever, right? You can't tackle the guy. You have to basically let him score. It's like, Jesus, that is some real stakes. That is some real stakes. Yeah, you basically fake an injury as soon as you run on the field. You're just like, well, I'm out of this. I'm not playing.
You turned down James Bond.
Not really.
Yes, really.
No.
You're being humble.
I got a call from my agent saying they're interested in you for Bond, and they want to know if it's something you're interested in. And I took that as they're going to ask. It's a bit like the Secret Service. They don't want to offer it to you, and you say no. At the time, I was like, well, I've got X-Men, and I know I'm going to an X-Men 2.
Right.
I actually rang Russell and got advice from him about it. I said, man, what do you think I should do? He said to me, he goes, you make sure you know the direction it's going in, man, because you're going to be, if you say yes to that and it works, you got X-Men Bond, X-Men Bond, X-Men Bond. So you want to make sure you're doing something that you really love. And I was like, it's not for me. And I feel it's got to go back to being a little more Sean Connery. There's a little tougher and maybe, anyway. So I go to see Casino Royale. I was like, oops.
You turned down James Bond.
Not really.
She beat the world record by such a huge margin that people couldn't believe it was real. When Toby Amuson beat Kendra Harrison's world record, there were questions raised. Kendra's record in 2016 was only a 100th of a second faster than the former world record, which had stood for 28 years. So in 2022, when Toby set a time of 12.12, nearly a 1/10 of a second faster than Kendra's record, some people couldn't believe it. They said wind speed wasn't accounted for correctly, or the race clock was wrong. People even speculated that Toby's shoes somehow gave her an unfair advantage. The concerns got even louder in the finals on the same day when Toby smashed the record.
In New York
Not a
City,
single good video here.
buildings, high-end buildings that they build, right? Like where the apartments go for 5 million, 10 million.
Where's a good
50 million
playlist of
dollars,
shorts?
Right? They're
Something with
80%
funny
empty.
videos.
You know why they're 80% empty and why there's so much real estate in this country with high-end that's totally empty? Because people from China, Russia, South America who are doing nefarious stuff, they'll buy.
We got a package. This is another one of Apple's self-service repair program tools, and it's probably by...
I just spoke to the CEO of
fuck
Rolex.
me, man. We're not going to find any good videos. Imagine coming up with all those excuses instead of just accepting that someone is just naturally better. It's sort of like, I think that's always going to happen, right? Fans pretty much always do this in almost every single sport, no matter what the sport is. If their favorite guy loses, then it must be because the other guy cheated. It can never just be, oh, the other guy was just genuinely better. I wouldn't look for good videos, personally, in shorts. Can't stand shorts. Watched our barber's very young son watching shorts. Unbearable. Sometimes you get some good shorts, man. Like, there are times where I will go through the shorts and I'll be like, oh, this is not too bad. Not always, though. I mean, it's fucking rare. Oh. Do you guys want to watch the new Major Kill video? I mean, the first trap, as you can see here, Apocalypse, from the evidence here, right? You have cute moments in shorts. You have, I don't know who this is, but probably, the fuck is this? Pink Venom, something, Black Pink Lisa, something. Then you have the UFC lady. Then you have Big Bang Theory. I don't know what this is either. Chart patterns, bank, I don't know what that is. I don't know who this is, but it's apparently beautiful female workout motivation. Then this is a fashion video. Then this is Emaru. And this is some girl kicking a guy, or I don't know, Jake Paul. And then maybe a little bodybuilding, and then Skater Boy. It's all girls, bro. I don't know why that would be my recommendations, because all I ever do with shorts is scroll. That's it. I don't like a single short. I've never liked a short. I'm not subscribed to any shorts. It just sort of, it is what gets recommended. Oh, well, that is also true. No. Why the fuck would I like my own shorts, Rob the Fool? That would make no sense. It would be like liking your own videos. That shit would just be weird. No. I don't like my own shorts. I leave that for everyone else to do. You know what? Let's watch this video from Major Kill. At least we know this will be good.
G'day guys and gal. You'd think I would have made one of these videos by now, especially since I'm one of the only guys that understands that ADHD friendly video lengths are a big vibe, and the fact that everyone who seems to make an entire 40k lore timeline video seems to get an absolute shitload of views. But alas, I just haven't, I suppose. Until now. Today is the day we explain over 300 novels and over 30 years of lore in one pretty short video. I'm obviously going to be pretty brutal with what content I actually provide, since this video could literally go for 24 hours and still be considered brief.
24-hour video. That's
it's
one hell of a react.
Origin for views and
ready.
compress the shit out of stuff. We will be covering from 60 million BC all the way to the 42nd millennium, highlighting the key events, key characters and whatnot to make even the most non-Warhammer person, such as, you know, anyone above a 7.5, know what is actually going on. The point of this video is for you to be able to learn about 40k lore or send it to a mate and be like, oi dickhead, and get them on board our degeneracy train that is plummeting straight towards hell. And yeah, on the off chance this does end up blowing up and getting a...
I will warn you, if you've never seen anything with Warhammer, before we get too deep into this video, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions right now. Do you have time in your life to get obsessed with something new? This is a question you have to ask yourself right now, because by the end of this video, now I haven't watched this video, but it's about Warhammer and it covers the whole history of Warhammer, which means that if you care anything for lore and story, you're probably going to be addicted by the end of this video. And once you get addicted, I don't know how to break this to you, but there are almost 400 books in the Warhammer universe. There are miniatures in the Warhammer universe. There are collectibles in the Warhammer universe. This shit will bankrupt you. No questions asked. It will bankrupt you. So if you don't have the time or the money to get hooked on a new, very highly addictive universe, you might want to go grab a coffee, take a wank, basically spend 19 minutes with yourself and then come back once we're done with this video. Because yeah, it might get wild. And yeah, you might lose your mind along the way as well, because this universe is nuts. Let's go.
Million views. I have a store with custom 3D party minis that slap pretty hard, a Patreon with live action nude Warhammer cosplays, and some merch which I think is pretty cute. What? Man's gotta make a living. Let's get into it.
Man's gotta eat.
The thing about Warhammer 40k is that it's considered to be an alternate future of our current reality, with a few alterations, sure. But as far as Warhammer is concerned,
that's actually the thing that makes Warhammer 40k so good, is that it is set in our universe. Like, fantastically, it's our universe, and as things progressed, it just veered off into, now the 41st millennium. But that is one of the things I think that makes this universe so cool, is the fact that it is based on our universe.
You currently watching this video is canon to the 40k universe. Our tale begins 60 million years ago, where life first started giving it a genuine crack after the bang went big. Many races evolved, and for whatever reason, most of these races were OP as...
Kristen, are you a Xenos scumbag by any chance? Should we call the Inquisitors, maybe? Just want to figure out what we need to do here. Maybe the black... No, what are they called again? Is it the Black Templars? No, the Black Templars are they're the Chaos guys. Who's the Chaos guys again? The Dark Angels, they're Lionel Johnson. And then we just watched their video. I don't know if it's a Death Watch. We just watched their video. The massive long one. The massive long... Hal Reach... what was Hal Reach based on? Hal Reach is the Black Templars, right? Yes. We should call the Black Templars. We found ourselves a Xenos scumbag in chat. By the way, thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate having you here. And also, Jane Jenna, thank you for the Prime sub. 9 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. Far too kind. Yeah, who do we call when we find a Xenos sympathizer? Who's like the best people to call? When you find Chaos sympathizers, you call the Inquisitors. Who do we call if we find Xenos scumbags? We need the Death Watch. All right, I'm good with that. Man, as Necron's been around longer in the timeline, it doesn't matter. This is an Imperium-friendly stream. We hate the Xenos. We are incredibly xenophobic towards the Xenos races of the Imperium. But on an aside, and I will deny this if if it ever gets out, I don't mind the Necrons. They're pretty cool as well. But that's as an aside, and I will deny it if it ever comes out. And if this clip ever leaks, I will just claim that it's a deep fake and it's AI. It's not me.
Is hell, like the Crave. However, chief amongst these were the old ones, toad-looking motherfuckers who traveled the galaxy and seeded life onto countless worlds. They were all powerful as they were able to tap into the power of an alternate dimension called the Warp.
Well, I fucking missed that. What did he say?
And crack after the bang went big. Many races evolved, and for whatever reason, most of these races were OP as hell, like the Crave. However, chief amongst these were the old ones, toad-looking motherfuckers who traveled the galaxy and seeded life onto countless worlds. They were all powerful as they were able to tap into the power of an alternate dimension called the Warp, a dimension of pure energy and emotion, unbound by the laws of physics and with limitless potential. The Warp at this time was calm, friendly, and bountiful. Most entities that died would have their souls travel here to either be reincarnated or just kind of chill and float around like a spectral jellyfish, not a care in the world. However, there was another race that evolved, the Necron tier, and boy, they had it rough. Their world was getting spanked by solar radiation on the daily, and I guess they forgot to evolve to deal with it as their lives were basically one big skin cancer. They died young and their entire culture was pretty depressing. Despite this, they were quite successful as a species, creating dark matter spaceships and carving out their own galactic empire. However, despite escaping their cancer-ridden homeworld, their lives remained pitifully short, as they only evolved to live for a short time. They eventually encountered the old ones and were like, fuck yes, please teach us how to make sunscreen and become immortal.
They remind me in some ways of the Solarians in Mass Effect. Because the Solarians are also this hyper-advanced species, incredibly intelligent, but very short lives. Like, super short lives. Of course, not the metal plates and shit. Kristen Brian, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. Onion Warhammer is Tark... Wait, Dark Matter throwaway tech? Is what? Dark Matter. Oh, Dark Matter. Yeah, well, who gives a shit about Dark Matter when you have Warp, bro?
And shit, but the old ones refused. The Necron tier were not their creation, and if they didn't create something, they didn't really give a shit about it. The Necron tier tried to wage war against the old ones, but that would be like a dry spittle of cum trying to take down the cocaine bear. The Necron tier got clapped and driven into the corner of the galaxy. While they had a sook, they discovered a large entity draining a nearby sun. The entity was not sentient, yet it was clearly powerful as hell. It was a Catan, a god of the material universe which was created by the Big Bang. However, in its current form, it was basically just a big galactic jellyfish that ate stars. The Necrontyr were like, fuck it, and they built large mecha bodies for the C'tan to inhabit, thus giving them sentience. Well, it turns out the C'tan were fucking assholes, hence the C'tan tricked the Necrontyr into sacrificing their body and souls in machines that the C'tan then fed on. The Necrontyr...
I feel like we are skipping over a couple of things here. Didn't the Necrons build the bodies because they were promised immortality as a result of helping the C'tan? Because it does feel like we're being, like, there's a few things being skipped here that may actually be somewhat important for people to know. Yeah, they were tricked. That's definitely true, but they would get organic immortality. Well, yeah, Marshall, obviously, I'm talking about the Necrons helped the C'tan because the C'tan promised them immortality. The C'tan, however, never told them what that immortality would look like, right? So the C'tan never told them that, oh, we're going to make you robots, effectively.
They were promised immortality and a release from their depressing lives, which was partially true. However, now the entire Necrontyr race were soulless robotic slaves to the will of the C'tan. They were now the Necrons. As the Old Ones rivaled the C'tan's power and would eventually control the entire galaxy, the C'tan led their Necron armies against the Old Ones. The Old Ones had not prepared for hectic galactic war, hence their army struggled against the C'tan. However, through a bit of hectic shit, such as the creation of the mighty Krork warriors, the Elder, an Old One creation, figuring out how to summon their gods onto the battlefield, and the Old Ones bending the warp to its will and using it as a weapon, the Old Ones were able to fight back. A shitload of people died, many worlds were ruined, and pretty much all of the Old Ones were eventually killed. However, in return...
Imagine watching a movie of this, like, the first days, you know, watching the Necrons go at it with the Eldar. Seeing gods, literal gods, summon onto the fucking battlefield and shit. Like, just imagine that.
turn, numerous C'tan were shattered and weakened to a point where the Necrons were able to rise up against their C'tan overlords, shooting them with a bunch of Death Stars and shit and turning them into Pokemon/super efficient batteries. See, they wanted to destroy the C'tan, but as the C'tan were gods of reality, destroying them would destroy reality. The Necrons themselves were pretty wrecked though. Back-to-back galaxy-shattering wars does that. Hence their leader, the Silent King, ordered them all to hibernate for 60 million years, with the idea being that the galaxy would be primed for them to reconquer. See, the Elder were rising to become the dominant force, and the Silent King wasn't sure if the Necrons could beat them, so better to let the Elder Empire fizzle out than risk it all. The final act of the Silent King was to break his command module, giving the Necrons free will upon their awakening. To punish himself for leading his race into damnation, the Silent King refused to join them in slumber, choosing to travel the universe for 60 million years instead. The warp had been seriously damaged during the War in Heaven, as the conflict was called. All the death, suffering, and tampering from the Old Ones had turned it from a calm sea of souls into a dangerous maelstrom. It wasn't totally fucked, however the seeds of corruption were sown, with the realms of chaos forming in the dark corners of the warp. The realms were weak and small. They could not challenge the dominion of the Eldar gods. However, they could steadily grow in influence.
This is where it began.
For those 60 million years, the Eldar reigned supreme. They had a fuckload of awesome technology given to them by the now extinct Old Ones. The Necrons and the C'tan were gone, and the Krorks were kept in check by culling campaigns. These culling campaigns reduced the...
Oh shit, Caleb. I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people would be confused because the only reason I know some of this is because I started my very first video with Breaky's video going over the different races of, you know, of the Warhammer 40k. And in that, obviously, the Necrons were one of the races that he went over. So that's the only reason I know most of this shit. But if I just started watching videos about the Primarchs and where I think most people start, like I think most people just start with like Primarch stuff or Orc stuff or whatever the case may be, right? You wouldn't know any of this. So this would be like, wait, what? This universe was like this literally from the start? Just war and shit?
Krorks from legendary 12-meter tall killing machines to a bunch of lovable and semi-retarded orcs. The species was literally genocided into de-evolution. During this time, Cain, the Eldar god of war, got all pissy and shit and started attacking the Eldar because, you know, he's a highly emotional god of war and he saw a prophecy that said the Eldar would destroy him, so yeah, he cracked it. To prevent the death of the Eldar, the other Eldar gods permanently sealed the barrier between their realm in the warp and real space, meaning the Eldar could no longer summon the Eldar gods to their aid. This was actually the beginning of the end of the Eldar Empire. See, after 60 million years, the Eldar got bored. They were masters of the galaxy, lived for thousands of years, and when they died, they were able to just reincarnate with their memories intact. With their gods now at arm's length, the Eldar began to fall into depravity to keep themselves entertained. It started small, pleasure cults on Eldar worlds partaking in narcotics and orgies, which sounds like a fucking vibe. However, it got worse and worse whilst becoming more widespread, with the Eldar moving into violent blood orgies, sacrifice, and other less vibey stuff. The issue was that because the Eldar were a psychic race, their emotions echoed loudly in the warp. With so many Eldar railing Coke then railing each other, these emotions began to coalesce into a new warp god, the Chaos god Slaanesh. Before shit really hit the fan with Slaanesh though, humanity had begun its rise. We had slowly but surely advanced through the years much in the same way as real life. There was the ancient Egyptian and Greek cultures, the Mona Lisa, and then in the 21st century I'm sure there was like Fortnite and a dumb piece of shit YouTuber called Major Kill. But then things kept going. We mastered space travel, figured out how to travel faster than light by inventing the warp drive, a device that could open a portal to the warp, fly through it, and pop out somewhere else in the galaxy at a micro fraction of the time it would take to do it normally. With this technology, humanity colonized thousands of worlds. We were wildly advanced, with machines and fabricators that could make us anything, as well as highly intelligent AIs to help us. Yes, the Eldar Empire was very mighty and controlled a lot of the galaxy, but not as much as you would think. They didn't breed very quickly and they were content to control their own territory without much ambition for expansion. So whilst I'm sure the humans and Eldar did fight here and there, it wasn't either race's goal or hobby. But just as the Eldar and the human empires were both at their zenith, shit hit the fan. Humanity's robotic servants rose up and started attacking their creators. Shit was fucked. Roombas were crashing into people's ankles, sex robots started blueballing people, you know, real twisted shit. However, through great effort, as well as the help of a few alien races humanity was mates with, the robots, the Men of Iron as they were called, were destroyed. However, shit then got even worse. See, the Eldar's empire-spanning blood orgies had destabilized the warp, making interstellar travel super hard, hence cutting mankind's empire off from itself. Then to make matters even worse, the psychomutation emerged, with a number of humans on every world developing psychic powers. These powers seemed cool at first, with many human worlds celebrating these psychic superheroes. But then it got bad, as demons from the realms of chaos within the warp used these psychers, who drew their power from the warp as living portals to invade real space, destroying thousands of human worlds in a demonic blood rush. Many other human worlds simply died from lack of trade, especially ones like mining worlds that relied on off-world imports of food. This period of darkness was the Age of Strife and lasted 5,000 years. 5,000 years of human worlds being cut off and preyed upon by other alien races. 5,000 years of lost technology. It's because of these 5,000 years that humanity went from let's be friends with aliens to the hyper-racist fucking genocide the tits off anything that isn't human. Even Earth wasn't spared. Cut off from its empire, Earth, or Terra as it's called in Warhammer, devolved into nuclear civil war, rendering much of the world inhabitable. During mankind's rise and fall, a special human had been born thousands of years before the birth of Christ.
Here we go.
The culmination of 1,000.
Here we go, boys. It's our Emperor. It's the Emperor. Cloaky, how you doing, fam? Swanky, how you doing? Master Joel, how you doing? Brassmoth, how you doing? And to everyone else, if I've missed you, how you guys doing? And this is Major Kill's newest video. It came out 3 hours ago, and it's called The Entire Warhammer 40k Timeline Story Lore Explained by an Australian. That's what that is. And yeah, some feet porn as well for the truly degenerate fucks among us. You know, but this is of the Emperor, so be careful. You may actually find yourself inquisited if you go too far. Yeah, this one's for free, Ballistic.
1,000 psychic shamans performing ritualistic suicide all at once to combine their soul into a super being. The Emperor of Man was born. Now, he wasn't born with the title the Emperor, that would be a bit hectic, but he was already wise as fuck as a child, and he traveled the world. He acted as a shepherd to humanity, but not always as a ruler. Sometimes he would step in and lead a nation, but once he was satisfied they weren't going to fuck themselves, he would go back to the shadows. See, his unique birth made him a perpetual, an immortal being with immense physical and psychic power. He had shepherded mankind into a golden age of technology.
Was the Emperor natty? Or do you think some roid use may have been incurred here? I'm gonna feel like, or I'm gonna say probably like some roid use was introduced. In our reality, we call him Hercules, gene manipulation for sure. Look at those veins, definitely space roids.
Technological enlightenment.
Man's tall as fuck, some growth hormones definitely got introduced
there. The Emperor
there.
was content, happy to stay on the sidelines, expanding his knowledge. However, when the Age of Strife did hit and things went sour, he foresaw that humanity would be doomed if he didn't step in. So he said, fuck this shit, and decided that he would become the master of mankind and lord of the galaxy. Fuck yeah. He detected that the Elder Empire was approaching its climax of depravity, which would birth Slaanesh. The psychic shockwave of that birth would blow away the warp storms that prevented interstellar travel, allowing humanity to be once again united. At this point, it was around the 31st millennium. To prepare for this, the Emperor used his dozens of thousands of years of knowledge to create his Custodes and Thunder Warriors, two superhuman breeds of soldiers. The Custodes were handcrafted masterpieces, the Emperor's personal army and bodyguards. The Thunder Warriors were
Sebi, how you doing, you bastard?
But were very powerful in their own right. With these superhumans, the Emperor conquered Earth. However, he knew that the Thunder Warriors would not be able to conquer the galaxy for him.
What book would I need to read to learn about the Thunder Warriors? Because they seem really cool to me, even though they got fucked, obviously. But I still want to know, right? Wait, Sebi, you've died 32 times against Melania? I've heard only good things about that boss. Apparently she's really easy. Emperor the Horus Heresy book, or just do spicy and lifts the fog around him a bit? Do you think we'll ever get an Emperor model?
He died young and were kinda retarded. Hence he got his Custodes to cull the Thunder Warriors in order to replace them with the much more marketable and long-lived Space Marines. See, the Emperor foresaw many calamities to come. The rise of Chaos, which was the demonic forces that had been biding their time since the War in Heaven, the rise of the Beast, which was a Giga-Orc capable of conquering the galaxy, and other nasty shit such as the Necron's Awakening and the arrival of the Tyranids. So he created 20 demigod generals in secret using
just a model. It doesn't have to be a playable model. Just a canonical view of what he looks like. So we can actually know what he looks like. She killed me 32 times, but in my defense, I was 10 beers in when I started her. Yeah, okay, so I imagine that did not go too well for you. All-powerful model, 1 wound on the fuse box. I mean, right now, the biggest problem with making an Emperor model would be that he's on the Golden Throne. So, he wouldn't really be playable, would he?
Using his own genius, the souls of minor warp gods, and his own DNA. They were his sons, his Primarchs, and from their DNA, he created the Space Marines as the sons of the Primarchs. However, due to some warp spaghetti and the intervention of the Chaos Gods, the 4 Lords of Hell, the Primarchs were stolen from the Emperor's laboratories and scattered throughout the galaxy. The Emperor was like, fuck! And he launched his legendary Great Crusade with the aid of Mars, Terra's neighbor, who had wildly advanced technological and manufacturing capabilities, 2 things required when you need to conquer a galaxy. How did the Emperor get Mars to be his personal factory, I hear you ask? Well, during the medieval ages, he beat up a Catan that was on Earth, put it in a coma and locked it under Mars. Its essence and influence then advanced the Martian people's technological intellect. The Emperor then exploited their religious beliefs into tricking them that he was their god and messiah. Because of course he did. The Great Crusade was epic.
Nice.
Hundreds of thousands of Space Marines and countless billions.
The Emperor told them that he was their god, or that the Catan was their god? Because I thought the Emperor doesn't like being called a god. Doomclaw weapon in action. I think Horus had one as well. Like, Horus had a claw as well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was the Emperor's claw, but I know Horus had one.
Of army and navy personnel conquering, colonizing, liberating, or integrating various worlds, rapidly expanding the Imperium of Man. As each world was brought into the fold, either through force or diplomacy, the Imperium swelled. One by one, the Primarchs were found and given command of their own legions.
I see what
the
you get
same
me.
legions that were created using their own DNA. Sanguinius, the Angel, was given his Blood Angels. Rogel Dawn, the stubborn asshole, was given his Imperial Fists. Horus, the first Primarch to be found and the Emperor's favoured son, was given his Lunar Wolves. As the Primarchs were found, the pace of the Crusade accelerated, as now mankind had these demigod superhuman commanders leading the charge. But what about the Elder? Why didn't they stop humanity's conquest? Well, when Slaanesh was finally born, her birth instantly killed 99% of the Elder and destroyed most of their worlds. Most Elder were too insane and depraved by that point to understand the danger of their indulgent actions. The only survivors were the Dark Elder, who were living in the Webway, an artificial network of psychic tunnels that cut through the warp and was shielded from the warp, the Exodite Elder, who foresaw the calamity and left beforehand, and then the Craft Worlds, living continent-sized ships that were able to avoid the decline of their race due to their nomadic nature, hence were able to fly away from the epicenter of Slaanesh's birth. But yeah, the Elder were in no position.
Wait. Let's see this. You 3D printed and painted an Emperor model. Oh, shit. Bro, this is actually cool as fuck. Look at that thing. Bro, that is cool as shit. Like, well done, Mr. Muria. Well fucking done. I love the attention to detail here. I need to get a 3D printer, man. I really need to get a 3D printer. I'll be printing shit like this for days. But I wouldn't make minis. I'd make them fucking large. Like maxis. That's what I'll make. But yeah, this is boss mode.
Position to challenge humanity's rise. Despite mankind and the Emperor's dominion,
Bro, I'd love
the
to see
big
it.
and new humanity would never be safe until chaos was beaten. See, not many people knew about chaos, and the Emperor didn't want people to know, as knowing about it gave it.
Arthur's 3D printers are not very common in South Africa because they're stupidly expensive. At least here, you'll pay quite a bit for them. So not many people I know have one. And the one guy I do know that has one is like, it's very old. So I don't know if it's as good.
Strength. Hence, the Emperor had created a secular, godless imperium, the idea being to drain the Chaos Gods of strength as everyone became atheist and didn't believe in anything. The power of belief is a big theme in Warhammer. But to beat chaos, the Emperor had to remove humanity's reliance on the warp. Most notably, he had to remove warp travel. See, mankind was slowly evolving to become a psychic race, like the Elder, and the Emperor didn't want the birth of Slaanesh 2, Electric Boogaloo. So he began creating his secret Webway project, the goal being to break into the Eldar Webway and then convert sections of it for human use. Then humanity could have massive cities full of psykers that were kept away from the warp and chaos, as well as use the human Webway for risk-free travel. If it wasn't obvious, warp travel, i.e. cutting through hell to travel, possesses a lot of risks to someone's lifespan. Chaos did not want humanity to free itself of its influence. If the Webway project was completed, then Chaos would suffer greatly as its main food source would be denied to it. Hence it reared its ugly head and decided it was time to act. The time for waiting was over. Chaos exploited the weakness, insecurities, and ego of the Primarchs Horus and Lorgar in order to turn them to their cause, filling their
Fucking
heads with
assholes, both of
half-truths
them.
and twisted visions of the future. From here, Horus was able to convince half of his Primarch brothers to join him in rebellion against the Emperor. Thus the Horus Heresy begun. It started horribly for the Emperor's forces. 3 of his Space Marine legions and their Primarchs were lured into a trap and massacred, whilst the rest of his forces were scattered. See, Horus had been named War Master before his betrayal, so he was able to command the Imperium's armies whilst
Another
the Emperor
mistake.
worked
He should have chosen Lion Al Johnson everyone fucking knows that.
The Webway project. As such, Horus was able to direct most weapons and ammo to his traitor legions, whilst he then sent the more powerful loyalist legions to the far edges of the galaxy, keeping them out of the way. The heresy was a time of titanic battles, heroic last stands and acts of defiance, brother against brother, father against son. It culminated with Horus and his army sieging Terra itself. The siege ended with Horus killing Sanguinius and then the Emperor killing Horus in turn, but not before suffering mortal wounds. With Horus's death, the traitor forces were broken and driven back, eventually regrouping in the Eye of Terror, which was the epicenter of Slaanesh's birth, a hellish realm that the Loyalists were unable to penetrate. The Emperor was placed on the Golden Throne, an extremely advanced device that both kept him alive and killed him in equal measure. His soul lived on, but his body withered. See, the heresy had done obscene damage to the Imperium. The Webway project had been destroyed, multiple Primarchs had been killed, with most of the traitor Primarchs ascending to become Demon Lords. The Golden Throne allowed the Emperor to guide the Astronomicon, a beacon of light that allowed
every single
the Imperium
time I
to
see the
navigate
Golden
warp,
Throne, man.
whilst also keeping the Webway Gate under Terra shut, as since it was destroyed, it had become flooded with demons. Hence, the Emperor has sat on the throne for over 10,000 years, literally holding his Imperium together as his body withers and he endures unimaginable agony. The Imperium survived the Horus Heresy, but without the Emperor's guidance, it began a slow and steady decline over the next 10 millennium. The Emperor's secular atheist policies were abandoned in favor of the Imperial cult, a mandatory religion that declared the Emperor as a god. Alien races that had been pushed to the brink of extinction, like the Orcs, returned in great number and began threatening the Imperium. Eldar raiders also joined in on the fun, whilst the newly established Chaos faction was an ever-present threat.
Caleb.
Other new threats emerged, like the rapidly advancing Tau Empire or the arrival of the Tyranids, a parasitic hive mind species from another galaxy. On top of that, the Necrons began awakening as it had been 60 million years, with the Silent King himself returning to the galaxy after traveling the cosmos. To make matters even more worse, Chaos had finally marshaled enough strength to deal a crippling blow to the Imperium at the end of the 41st millennium, destroying their fortress world of Cadia, which allowed the Eye of Terror to expand and cut the galaxy in half, with one half of the Imperium now no longer being able to warp travel, as well as there being no more Astronomicon on that side. Demons invaded 1,000 worlds as the death scream of the Imperium began to sound. All was lost. Until it fucking wasn't. Through a serious effort of both the Imperium and the Eldar, Rabute Gilliman, the Avenging Sun, the Lord of Ultramar, and one of the greatest Primarchs to ever live, was revived from his near-death stasis. With his resurrection came the unveiling of the Primaris Marines and the start of the Indomitus Crusade, mankind's revenge
Stuff,
against
how you
all
doing,
its
bro?
foes.
Thanks for the follow, really
Gilliman
appreciate
smashed
that.
Chaos aside, reclaiming many Imperial worlds and pulling the Imperium back from the brink. He defeated his demon brothers Magnus and Mortarion in the process, thus bringing us into the modern day
literally
setting.
the book.
Gilliman is trying to
This is literally the books that I'm currently reading. The Dark Imperium books deals with right after Gilliman wakes up and is trying to fight back the forces of chaos. And now there's rumors that Lionel Johnson may be making his return. In which case, fuck.
unfuck the galaxy. Chaos, led by Abaddon the Despoiler, is trying to fuck the galaxy. The Silent King is attempting to cut off the warp from the galaxy, which would fuck everyone who wasn't a Necron. The Tyranids are trying to eat everyone's ass. The Eldar are trying to awaken their god of death to take on Slaanesh. The Orcs are just having a great time with all the war and shit going on. The Tau are just trying to exist in a galaxy that fucking hates them. In the grim darkness of the 42nd millennium, there is only war. And that is more or less a rundown of the entire lore of Warhammer 40k. Obviously, there is a shitload of important side quests and side lore that I haven't included because, you know, like 24-hour video if I did, but this should bring even the most functional non-virgin members of society up to speed. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a Major Mini, wide range of high quality professionally printed minis that ship worldwide. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more fucking entire lore and shit content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace. Yeah, we'll react to more videos. Don't worry, Silver. Don't know when, but I really just wanted to watch this. But now I want to watch something else. We've watched this before. This is probably like the 4th or 5th time that I've watched this. But yeah, gone out myself. Wait, this is the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy cinematic trailer, 8K. we've never watched this. Yeah, let's go, boys. Show me. Shit.
I never wanted this. I never wanted to unleash my legions. Together we banished the ignorance of old night. But you betrayed me. You betrayed us all. You stole power from the gods and lied to your sons. Mankind has only one chance to prosper. If you will not seize it, then I will! So let it be war.
Dude, I love this cinematic. Fuck.
From the skies of terror to the galactic rim. Let the seas boil. Let the stars fall. Though it takes the last drop of my blood, I will see the galaxy freed once more. And if I cannot save it from your failure, Father, then let the galaxy burn.
Jesus. Dude, it's pretty good. Sevi, yeah, the voice acting is phenomenal. Oh, shit. I wish we could see a movie of the Horus Heresy. Like, a proper movie of that war. What's the rest of this? Just the side-by-side, I'm guessing. Let's see what we just watched. Yeah, it's gonna be side-by-side.
I never wanted this. I never wanted to unleash my legions.
Dude, the upscale is pretty fucking good.
Together we banished the ignorance of old night. But you betrayed me. You betrayed us all.
Yeah, you can see it so fucking clearly.
Gods and lied to your sons. Mankind has only one chance to prosper. If you will not seize it, then I will. So let it be war. From the skies of terror to the galactic rim. Let the seas boil. Let the stars fall. Though it takes the last drop of my blood, I will see the galaxy freed once more. And if I cannot save it from your failure, Father, then let the galaxy burn.
Wow. It's quite interesting what a difference that upscale makes. But I love the voice acting here. I love Horus's voice actor, like the pain and anger just shines through in this voice, right? You can just hear that this is someone that hates the Emperor, absolutely despises the Emperor. It's wild. What's this?
People feel like they're at war.
I think when you jump to the next level, there's an even bigger war going on.
What's the biggest war?
Psychological stuff. No one knows the truth because it's virtual reality once you get to that level, so no one knows.
Seems to be like a universal struggle.
It's all mind war.
I wanted people to be able to see it.
I just don't think people are ready for it.
Well, sure.
The third dimension is just this empty wasteland. Above it and below it is all this incredibly complex stuff, but our brains tune all of it out because we can't handle it.
It's almost like there's too many things happening.
People go nuts.
For people who are not thinking the way you're thinking, it can be exhausting.
And the truth is, no energy is ever destroyed. It all continues on.
You were telling me that it fucks with your head. The certain amount of it, after a while, it just fucks with your head.
That's why I'm usually kind of like almost autistic, is I'm just being constantly.
Why?
Because lower entities will come in and violate your free will.
They know all your bullshit. They see right through you.
They will not manipulate your free will unless you ask them in.
I have.
Dude, do not say that. I'm going to get killed.
I've 100% communicated with something.
I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, be careful.
The question is whether that something was actually in my imagination or in my mind, or whether that something was something that takes place in another dimension.
Once you open that gate, it's all bad.
Why is it all bad? Why can't you experience that interdimensional being and learn something from it? And be a better person when you come out of it.
Because every time it gets control, it starts murdering everybody.
They wind up killing everybody.
In every case. And it always starts beautiful. It always starts great.
Problem is, some of it makes sense.
That's where the psychosis comes in.
Whoa.
It's going to create a giant societal crisis where most of the people are already going to get killed because an evil force wants conflict. So I'm saying no, no, no.
It's all chaos.
Stop it.
This is the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Devil, what is this?
What kind of rules could be established that would unite people?
It's a big mess. There's a lot of criminals. There's a lot of opportunists, a lot of desperate people. It's a soup of humanity out there.
You can't have that.
What we have to realize is that we're here to fuck things up for everyone else.
I'm with you.
Not each other.
You know what I think unites us?
Yeah.
Aliens.
No one cares about aliens, but they should. And if aliens come down here and fuck us all up,
I don't think we're going to be able to stop it.
It's coming. We're in a war already.
They have supersonic weapons now.
Yeah, but so do we. We have everything they have.
Do we?
Of course we do.
Do we 100% have supersonic
We
weapons?
absolutely have everything they have. Why wouldn't we? What, are we not as evil? Are we not as smart? Have we not been breeding sociopaths forever?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
I'm pretty sure that whatever some monster thought of, we also have. We've also got a lot of shit.
What do we have?
Who knows what we have? But we got to get on the same page here.
People are going to die.
That's right.
It's going to happen.
That's right. People always get killed, but it's good to have a passion. Yeah, guns are bad, but we can make them good.
Guns save the day. Guns kill aliens. Guns kill werewolves.
In our hands, they're great.
Guns kill everyone. Yeah. Everyone bad gets killed by guns.
I like it, and I'm a fan of the regime. Fuck yeah. You have to not lose sight of that message.
Dude, it's insane how well it fits. It just fits. It just fucking works. Oh, this is insane. Fuck yeah. Alright. On to this.
G'day, guys and gal. Everyone is always like,
Macarius and his legendary crusade.
Without the Primarchs and Space Marines, mankind would have been doomed. Or, yet people defending the Horus Heresy is a necessary sacrifice in order for the Imperium
Sinful, leave it to the Degenerate Club to figure out where to find videos like that.
To exist, or that the Big E was just the best at everything. Those people are wrong. Macarius, a mortal man born to mortal parents, proved that you don't need to be an 11-foot tall demigod with daddy issues in order to bend the galaxy over backwards and have your way with it. Some people might say he got lucky, but he had something that none of the super soldier gods had. A functional sex drive. This guy achieved more than any Primarch could in a fraction of the time, in a significantly more dangerous universe with a significantly smaller array of firepower, and I reckon it's time for you to learn about him. He completely shits on Horus as a War Master. But Major Kill, everyone would shit on Horus as a War Master. He ruined everything. Ah, Timmy, you're back. Glad the surgery was a success. Now shut your mouth before I bend you over and tell Macarius that you are the galaxy. Yes, Horus botched the job a bit, but the point I'm trying to make here is that Macarius outperformed the Primarch, even if said Primarch had remained loyal. Today we're going to be going over the life and death of the legendary Macarius and his crusade, aka Alexander the Great in space.
The reason I will probably love this, even in the Dark Imperium books, my favorite chapters are the ones that deal with the normal human Imperial Guard. Those are my favorite chapters in the books. Because, I mean, if you compare a normal Imperial Guardsman to literally everything else in the universe, it does not compete. On any level, it cannot compete with anything else in the universe. It's outgunned, it's out-armored, it's outmatched, it doesn't move as fast, it doesn't have as much strength, and yet, these motherfuckers are on the front lines of every single battle. Every single battle. And they don't cry about it, they don't bitch and moan about it, they just do their job. And it is just, I think it hits some kind of human note, you know? Because in many ways, all of us are like the Imperial Guardsmen. You know, if you imagine the world of Warhammer 40k, what would you be? Most likely an Imperial Guardsman. So it just hits that, those empathy notes very, very well.
Space. Let's get into it. After the Horus Heresy, it was universally accepted that the Imperium had entered into a state of slow but steady decline. New spooky Xenos began to emerge, and the Imperium's military might had been slashed by about 75%. The Emperor was now a vegetable/battery, and within a few hundred years, all of his loyalist sons went MIA. To top it off, religion and superstition overrode the Emperor's atheist vision, hence the equivalent of the Dark Ages occurred for thousands of years. It's actually a bloody huge testament to the Emperor that despite how viciously raped the Imperium got, it has still been able to weather absolutely everything the universe has thrown at it for over 10,000 years. So it does come as a bloody huge shock that near the middle of the 41st millennium, a man stepped forth and told the universe to suck off his big juicy balls. This man was called Macarius, but you can call him Alexander the Great in space. Seriously, his story is more or less just a copy-paste but thrown in spaceships and aliens and shit. But that doesn't make it boring. Please don't click away from this video if you're an Alexander the Great nerd. I'm sure you can still get a chuckle or learn a thing or two. Born as a privileged white kid as the heir to a planetary governor, Macarius was a genius from the start, becoming a famous general in his early 20s by winning wars and squashing rebellions. This quickly earned him the attention of the High Lords, who were really keen for a win after all the shit that had been going on. He was quickly named the successor to the Lord Commander, and it really didn't take long before the previous Lord Commander died, allowing Macarius to take his place. Yes.
How long do Lord Commanders usually live? They're not on the front lines, are they? So Nuka Stop G literally has Alexander the Great's mental pattern. Well, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but that's only if we look at Top G. Maybe. Actually, yeah, you might be right, actually.
So Macarius is now the Lord Commander and War Master of the Imperium. Fuck me, that was pretty quick. But I guess old mate Alex began his conquest at the age of 22, so it checks out. Macarius visited Terra to accept
So the reason there was a normal mortal in the position of War Master of Terra was because there was no Primarch, right? Because I can't see why the Imperium would have a normal mortal play War Master.
The honor of being the new War Master, and he wasn't a bitch about it. Horus, take notes, you bitch. He didn't let the power corrupt him or get to his head, and he didn't want a bar of chaos. After his coronation, he then challenged the galaxy to a duel and declared his intent to conquer a bunch of shit which everyone was pretty down with. I'm sure his speech was kind of like Lord Hux's speech from the First Order, but instead of a whiny ginger bitch who sounds like he just popped a hemorrhoid, it was a dedicated and inspired young man. Macarius gathered a fuck-off huge fleet and set off into the galaxy, straight towards hostile uncharted territory, and he had some pretty big exciting battles and some extremely close calls. On the hive world of Persepolis, Macarius found his signature winged helmet, which made him look really stylish and not at all like Alexander the Great. Shut up. The following year, on the planet of Zaga 4, Macarius fought against Chaos Space Marines and was shot in the chest by a bolter round. But he survived! Yeah, the bolter round didn't explode. I mean, I would have thought that the impact of a bolter round hitting you would shatter your ribs and kill you anyway, but not if you're Macarius. A couple years after that, the Macarius Crusade came to a grinding halt when faced with a...
Anyone that's sort of going, yeah, this is just a cheap ripoff of the Alexander the Great stories. It could literally just be, because remember, this entire universe is set in our universe. So it could be that he learnt about Alexander the Great in school or, you know, during his formal years or formative years. And he liked Alexander the Great. He liked the stories of Alexander the Great. And so he modeled himself after Alexander the Great. That gives it a pretty decent lore explanation for why he would favor basically looking like Alexander the Great.
Rogue human world which held a bunch of weapons from the Dark Age of technology. Macarius, just like how Alexander the Great did, got his fleet to hurl a comet at the planet, wiping out their armies and forcing them to surrender.
Wow.
Or at least I think Alex did that. I haven't really brushed up on my history for a while. Just after that,
Seems
Macarius
correct.
is faced with a fuck-off massive wah and ends up fighting their war boss. Now, Macarius was a great commander, but fighting a war boss in combat is never a good idea, especially for a mortal man, so Alex got pretty bloody ruined. But he survived again and made a full recovery. In the first year of the Crusade, 100 planets were conquered. In the second year, another 300 more were taken.
You're right.
By the third year, around 700 planets had been integrated into the Imperium. By the end of the 7-year Crusade, over 1,000 new planets had been added into the Imperium. Why did this epic and highly successful crusade end, I hear you ask? Was Macarius finally defeated? Did his fleet run out of supplies? Or was he just satisfied with his work and wanted to take a breather? None of those are correct! The truth is that Macarius' fleet had pushed so deep into new land and territory and had conquered so many planets that they were at the very edge of the Astronomicon. If they went any deeper, they would be out of range for their astropaths to pass messages, and their navigators would have an extremely difficult time getting them deeper. On top of that, the worlds that were to be conquered next were all haunted and spooky and shit. Macarius, being the mad lad he was, said, "Fuck it, let's keep going." And his entire army was like, bruh, no. So he threw a huge fit and got super drunk. The next morning, he had a nice hangover recovery smoothie, as well as some Barocca, and he was in a great mood. He said to his men, "Alright, fair enough, let's go home." Much to absolutely everyone's relief. Other than Macarius's, he was still secretly super down to keep going, but he's not a selfish prick that would sacrifice the lives of his men for his own personal glory. Take notes, Horace. On the way home, with his will and spirit broken due to the crusade being over, Macarius succumbed to a sickness he received on a jungle world and died. Being Macarius, he didn't try to make a deal with Nurgle or Chaos for survival or power, he just accepted his fate. Take notes, Horace. Except... what I said above is propaganda and not entirely true. I mean, it's the High Lord's truth, so if you disagree, you die, but the reality is always a bit different. His death is still a bit confusing, but it was quite violent. See, he had gotten sick, but not with jungle fever. Nurgle's plague had taken him and given him only a few weeks to live. So instead of feeling sorry for himself or joining Chaos for survival, Macarius led an attack on the Nurglite forces and killed their leader. He was then assassinated by either A, a Chaos cultist, or B, an Imperial assassin, as it would sound better if he died in battle rather than getting taken by Nurgle's gifts. How it happened doesn't really matter. Macarius had fulfilled his destiny and his story had reached a spicy conclusion. His funeral was one of the greatest in the galaxy. An entire planet was converted into a shrine world dedicated to him. He was declared a saint by the ecclesiarchy, and he had a 1 million man parade in his honor. Pilgrims descended to the world to see his tomb, and they all lived happily ever after. Psych! While Macarius was a flawless man, his generals were not. The death of Macarius had left a pretty significant power vacuum, which numerous generals found themselves in a position to exploit. As all the worlds that Macarius had conquered were new to the Imperium, they...
Dude, it's just a story as old as fucking time, even in the real world. You have great leaders, but then the people around them are greedy little fuckheads. And then they usually undo everything that the great leader did. Like, all of the great things the leader did gets completely fucking ruined because of the people around him. Oh, man. People need to start choosing their support staff better.
They had also not yet solidified their loyalty, hence begun the Macarian heresy, where those 1000 worlds picked one of many sides and engaged in a 70-year bloody civil war, which was only ended due to large-scale intervention of space marines. The heresy was basically a 7-faction war, each one led by a previous general of Macarius. What started as an innocent power grab ended with a mass infestation of Xenos and Chaos, who used the war to try and worm their way in. Space Marines that were sent to pacify the rebellions instead took the opportunity to get even with other loyalist chapters over petty disputes and grudges. It was a very, very messy and chaotic time. It was really only the Dark Angels and Minotaurs who straightened things out properly. The Dark Angels were able to root out the Alpha Legion, and the Minotaurs basically just bullied everyone into submission. And by bully I mean massacre. Don't fuck with the Minotaurs. I reckon Chaos knew Macarius was incorruptible, hence they did what they could to kill him, and then they infected the minds of his lesser generals. Huge testament to Alexander the Great in space. Macarius' legacy would remain long after his death, with his tactics being studied for future generations and various machines of war being named after him. You know, as well as that cheeky heresy that happened, teehee, after he kicked the bucket. But, you know, don't worry about that. Long live Macarius the Great, the most original character to ever set foot in Warhammer 40k. And that does us for today, guys, the lore and story of Lord Macarius. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Actually. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more great content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
This is pretty good. This guy is awesome and might be on the level of a Primarch, but he doesn't have the feats of a Primarch. Which actually makes him cooler than many Primarchs. Actually, probably cooler than all Primarchs, because he doesn't have the feats of a normal Primarch. He's not as strong, he's nowhere near their power level, and yet, he was able to achieve what very few Primarchs would ever have been able to achieve. I would call that a fucking win. Each Primarch conquered about 50,000 star systems. Yeah, but did they do it without any power? Because that's what this boils down to. I mean, we can start talking numbers and you're like, well, you know, he didn't do the numbers, but it doesn't really matter. Warframes versus Warhammer 40k Space Marines. Wait, what?
Who would win, a Warframe or a Warhammer 40k Space Marine? So I didn't really know too much about Warframe beforehand, so I had to do some research, and they're really powerful. They can take down heavily armored opponents with just swords. They can literally teleport. Some of them have multiple lives. Some of them can make clones. Some of them can be immune to damage. If Warframes were in the 40k universe, the Imperium Man would most definitely hunt them down as heretical Xenos. But I think even the 100 or so Warframes that there are would have a good chance of surviving. The right Warframe set up well might very well be able to take down an entire chapter. Who would win?
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the Space Marines would at least have a fucking chance. Wait, Caleb, what's this? Warframe official cinematic opening trailer. Dude, why are we watching Warframe shit now? This stream is taking a turn for the weird. But okay.
For generations you've slept. No purpose. No call to wake you.
See, I don't know anything about the story or the backstory of Warframe, so I don't know what any of this means. Does look like a Nurgle-infested planet, though.
Grineer.
Yep. That might be a Nurgle-infested
from
planet.
the ruins of the old war, swallowing colonies whole. But there's still hope.
I didn't even think Warhammer or Warframe had a story.
The Tenno. Monuments of an ancient warrior caste. Scattered across frail worlds.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh shit. Wow, these guys aren't very smart. They just blew themselves up. That does bring new meaning to the don't bring a sword to a fucking knife fight or to a gunfight, right? Don't bring a gun to a light sword fight? I don't know what kind of sword that was even. Just dodging bullets, easy. Huh. Slightly problematic, that. So that guy's just really fast.
Together, they fought back. Bringing an end to an empire. Then they left. Forgotten. Like a dream.
Okay. I guess they're back.
Wake up, Tenno. Wake up.
Legion would run over these if you ship a whole chapter on them. These guys don't have any chance of surviving. Maybe. I don't know what the power level really is of Warframes. It seems like they're incredibly powerful, but it almost seems like they might be a little too powerful, if that makes sense. They, maybe I'm just full of shit, but it feels like they're a little too powerful. Almost designed to be the main character in a video game where dying is just not an option, right? Sophia, welcome to the stream. Very happy to have you here. You know, first time? You don't say. I don't believe you, though. But, you know, we can go with that. Somewhat dedicated to the guardsman. Pity the guardsman. Wait. Fuck. Okay, we'll watch this and then I want to do an ARAM.
Pity the guardsmen. A weak sack of flesh destined to die for a dead god that never cared. It spends its pitiful, brief life alone in his foxhole with nothing to keep him company or to keep him safe than the cheapest, most disposable of equipment. Perhaps the glow from his last gun barrel keeps him warm at night. Me? As a servant of the powers, I enjoy the delights of all this world and the warp has to offer. Power. It courses through my veins. The gifts of the Chaos Gods will soon overtake me. And one day, I may even ascend. What has the gods...
One thing bothers me about this. This is clearly a Chaos Marine, and yet he looks very normal. All the Chaos Marines that I've read about look like shit. Like, you can see that they're Chaos Corrupted.
And to look forward to but a grim life. And if he is lucky, perhaps he will feel nothing as my axe sends his soul to corn. He lives for a corpse god, and he shall join his god as a corpse. I shall spare a half second to think of him in his kind.
So far, those are the only ones that I have read about Minoir, but they do not look like normal Space Marines. They look a little fucked.
Then I shall only laugh. Hail Chaos! You would laugh, monster, but let me remind you.
Here we go.
Within that weak sack of meat and bone, uncared for by his god and wept for by none, beats a heart. A human heart that carries with it the strength and courage of all mankind. Within that sack of meat is ensconced the hope, the will, and the fury of every man, woman, and child from every corner of the Imperium. Within that weak sack of meat, festooned in thin armor and weapons only powerful in numbers, beats the heart of a man. And for 10,000 years, the hearts of men have beaten strongly in defiance of your so-called powers. For 10,000 years, the hearts of men have stood united against a galaxy that despises them for no reason save that they had the audacity not to lay down and die. For 10,000 years, your black crusades have been pushed back, beaten down, and made a mockery of by weak sacks of flesh with cheap weapons and disposable equipment. For that weak sack of flesh that you so gleefully mock is no super soldier, no immortal warrior, no creature cursed by chaos like you.
I don't think an Ultramarine would be that much stronger than what is this? This would be a I don't know what this would be called. Black Legion? They would be equal in strength, no? You think Primaris? Well, he is taller, so obviously Primaris. But then again, you do have the Black Legion, which would be blessed by Khorne, which obviously would give him a lot of power. Because he would have the power of being a Space Marine, but then also Black Legion, former Sons of Horus. Black Legion is undivided. Okay. But then blessed by all the Chaos Gods? CSM would be stronger thanks to the demonic energy. Yeah, I think so. I would argue Chaos Space Marines would be more powerful than normal Space Marines because they have all the power of a normal Space Marine plus then the Chaos Corruption. Even if it's Chaos undivided. And he is possessed, then definitely should be stronger. Yeah, I think this is more just because he wants to get the monologue out, which started fairly good, but now he's just repeating the same thing over and over again, which makes it less good and more cringy.
He is a man, an Imperial Guardsman drawn from some forgotten corner of the Imperium to fight for his species and for the safety of the people he loves. He is a factory worker, a farmer, a storekeeper,
I don't think the Ultramarines care this much, to be honest. I mean, the Ultramarines do care about humans, but it would be far more believable if it was a salamander that said this. You know, if you had like a salamander saying this, you could believe that. They seem pretty fucking on the dick of humanity and all that. But an Ultramarine, I don't think would be saying this shit. God's conception, undivided in both fantasy and 40k, are not necessarily blessed by all or even by any of the gods, but they channel the power of chaos itself, not favoring one over the other. That's still a lot of power, no? Just let me die in peace, for fuck's sake. Yeah, the cringe is real here. Like, if that's the goal of this video, then the cringe is real, and the video does hit. At least on the cringe levels, I guess. When Top G fought Mortarion, he hardly said a word. Don't spoil it for me. I still have to watch that. This was originally supposed to be a guardsman saying this. This is a token from a fan-made video. Undivided is empirically the most powerful. That's why the Ever-Chosen is a thing. Seems like it belongs in text-to-speech. You guys love that text-to-speech stuff. I don't know why you're so on the dick of text-to-speech. Like, is it really that good? I don't want to be Rumble. Fuck. I don't want to be Rumble. Let's do a reroll. Oh, fuck. Things are going from bad to worse here. We have one tank in Galio, if Galio goes tank. Could go Urgot, but I'm not very good with Urgot. Let's do another reroll. Fuck! Not a single good champion. Man. Yeah, I play on EU Waste. Yeah, fucking fine. Do we have damage? Not really. I'm gonna have to go damage. Because everyone's gone... Oh, man. I did not feel like this. I'm not playing Annie either. I should actually go for Rise. But I'm not good on Rise either. Fine. Fine, we'll just play with the shit. Tigers off EU Waste, yeah. I noticed everyone is now going back to play the good old games of comfort these days. Aragast, I love ARAM. It's short. It's like 20 minutes a game. And, yeah, it just gives you a break. It just sort of relaxes me. To do a nice ARAM game. Suck for a bit, you know. And then do whatever else. You've never heard of this game. Rob the Fool, what do you mean you've never heard of League of Legends? There's no way. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe you. That is complete and utter bullshit. There's no way there's a human being on this earth alive that has never heard of League of Legends. It was saying ARAM, not League of Legends. Well, the game mode is called ARAM, right? All random, all mid. Basically what it stands for. A master in League of Legends? Nice. I'm nowhere near that. I've heard of it, but I've never seen any of the game. Oh, shit. You're about to get a treat then. Because I'm playing a champion that I've hardly ever played before. So this should be fun. And we're playing against a team. Oh, fuck. This is... Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. We're going to get wrecked in this one, boys. We're going to get wrecked. Just look at their team. Rengar, Brand, Renekton, Varus, and Fiddlesticks. Yep. This team is going to be fun to fucking play against. Hopefully, Renekton doesn't go tanky, because then we may have a chance in blowing him up. Oh, shit. First blood. Nice. Good job, me. Fuck. I owned that bitch. What are you gonna do, Fiddle? Get the fuck out of here, bro. You ain't got nothing on me. Gonna get spanked? There's a good chance I'm gonna get spanked, yes. Come on, Fiddle. Oh, here we go again. Man, okay, this Renekton is just being a fucking idiot. Don't go in. Don't go in. I'm pretty sure they're trolling. At least it feels like it. Don't go in. Everything's on fucking... Yeah, that was gonna hurt. Fucking bad actors throwing to Akko. I mean, sure. I mean, if I had the money to pay people to just lose the game, that'd be great. I would actually do it. Man, I didn't even get a hit on that. is a little better than Dota. I've never really played Dota, so I have no idea. I didn't get... Like, I only got 12 gold from that? Oh, fuck. Easy. My kill. Only more. What I like is HOTS. Heroes of the Storm is alright. No! God damn it. I'm not a huge fan of Heroes of the Storm. Like, if I'm gonna play a MOBA, I'll play League of Legends. I find it a lot more fun. Heroes of the Storm is a little too slow, in my opinion. Dota is kept up to date in some ways, from what I know, at least. Alright, Galio. Alright, now we're cooking. I have my ult. This is where the fight becomes fun. No, get the hell out! Fuck, I took a lot more damage than I wanted to, but never mind. Fuck you, Brand. LOL is very pretty, though. I mean, the actual game, I think, is a lot better than this. I just like this. Although I'm not with a very fun champion at the minute. Base MOBA is Pokemon. I've never played a Pokemon game, so I'm gonna have to take your word for that. Seen Wayfinder MMORPG? No. Is it good? Wayfinder MMO. That could actually be good, Aragast. Alright, come on, boys. Bring it in. I've got 10 seconds on my ult. And then we can go fucking ham on these bastards. Bring it in, fam. Alright, ults online. We can go. Shit. Oh, that was such a good ult. That was such a good ult, though. Fuck, did you guys see that? Alright, wait, I'm pretty sure Fiddle is just trolling. Yeah, I'm taking a lot of damage that I don't want to take. I'm just gonna get the fuck out of here. Oh. But I'm worried about the design choices for an MMORPG. Well, link it to me. After this game, link it to me. I would like to watch that. See if it is any good. You'd play a Pokemon game, though? I don't know. I've never found Pokemon that hot, though. 7. Easy. That's the easiest kill I've ever had in my life, bro. Like, fuck yeah. Oh, shit. Just look at that. And triple. What do you know? Fuck. Dude, as it turns out, I'm very good with this champion. I'm about to die. Never mind. Alright, this team is just getting their asses handed to them. Like, proper spanked. Kill steal. Oh, shit. This must be super sad. Yeah, okay, this is just troll at this point. There's literally nothing fun about this game. Just finish it. Wow. Okay, that hurts. Jesus. The studio has talent, but not sure if they know the genre. They are the guys who made Darkriders under THQ when that was still alive. They made Ruin King for Riot. I think Darksiders 3 and the Diablo like Darksiders. Yeah, MMOs. Oh, so one of their people actually disconnected. Never mind. That makes a lot more sense actually now. Alright, wait, let's watch this. No. Aragos, this is not... This is what I wanted to see. Yeah. Wayfinder, official gameplay reveal. Did we watch this before, chat? I'm trying to think. It sounds familiar. It sounds very familiar. It's on Earth, it's fine. How did I only get an A+? Why not S? I didn't die often. I had, like, a proper amount of fucking kills. I got the most damage in the team. Actually, I got the most damage in all of the teams. A little annoying, but alright. Alright, let's watch this, chat. This looks familiar.
Welcome to Wayfinder, an online multiplayer adventure for you and your friends. It's all set in Evanor, a gorgeous but fallen world. You'll control the chaos.
Oh yeah, we have watched this video before. I said back then that I don't know how well this game is going to do. Just because... So, first and foremost, it's not really an MMO as we have come to expect MMOs to be. You know, it's not open world. Point number one. It's more sort of battle arenas. So you load into a zone and then that zone is contained within itself. So more almost like Final Fantasy in a way. But that's where I sort of feel like the game might go wrong because first, you don't have that many classes. I think you only have like 4 classes that the game launches with. I mean, it looks beautiful. From a graphics perspective, there's nothing wrong with this at all.
They're Wayfinders.
Right?
Meet Senja, who likes to get up close and personal.
It looks really nice. The combat, though, looks...
And fast reflexes.
Actually, doesn't look that flowy.
While also supporting the group. With another victory under our belts, let's head to Skylight.
But then again, this is just me watching.
Here,
I would have to play in order to really know.
And Wayfinders. You can also explore dungeons called Lost Zones that you can modify and mutate for a greater challenge. Lost Zones are where you and your friends will team up to complete quests, collect loot, and hunt bosses like this Titan.
See, it feels more... The way they sell this game, to me, it feels a lot more like a looter-shooter kind of... I get very Monster Hunter vibes from this game. They not quite the same, but that's the sort of vibes I'm getting from this. Might just be me, though.
We're excited to bring Wayfinders Beta exclusively to PlayStation, and you can sign up for the chance to play early now. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm not... Oh, shit. Why did we not sign up for the beta? Did we not? I feel like we may have. But never mind. Maybe we didn't. If you could have a new game set in the Warcraft setting, what would it be? if it couldn't be an MMO. Apocalypse's answer, 100%. And this is not just me. This is literally what I said to Terran Gregory in Discord. I told Terran Gregory the same thing. Because this was right around the time that Valheim first released. And I still said, dude, can you imagine a Survivor game in the Warcraft universe? So, like, it is a Survivor game where you build stuff and you have your houses and, you know, all the stuff that you would expect from a survival game, but it's in Azeroth. How fucking cool would that be? All of the races, all of the playable races, so you basically make your playable race and then you go off and you survive. Dungeons and raids and all that stuff, but survival. I think that could be super cool. That's what they were making. No, Blizzard is working on a survival game, but the survival game Blizzard is working on is in a complete new IP. The other game, if you want to take a stab at this, so we can start talking about multiple games that Blizzard could bring out. I think World of Warcraft is sort of ripe for single-player fantasy. Aragos, like you just said, they're God of War-esque type of games. There's plenty of characters that you can make a game around. Varian, for example, would be a very good character to be in sort of a single-player story-driven game, you know, from the times that he spent in the prisons of the orcs, fighting in the arenas, escaping, coming back to the Alliance. Turalyon is another character, you know, his time spent with the Army of the Light, going through the Twisting Nether. There's some incredible single-player opportunities that you can tell there. Orcs have quite a few characters that can be built around this same thing. And World of Warcraft have enough nooks and crannies within the universe where there's more than enough space to carve out sort of small single-player stories. And when I say small, obviously I'm not talking about small as in, oh my god, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm talking about 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. I think there's plenty of characters in the game that you can build really cool stories off of and sort of make that work. So yeah, I would say something to that effect might actually be really cool. Garrosh did nothing wrong. I'll agree with you. Why not? I can agree with that. A proper war game. What do you mean with war game though, Ower? Are you talking about like an RTS? 4X? Bro. Imagine World of Warcraft, but 4X. So turn-based, Warhammer, Total War, Civilization-esque kind of game. Imagine that game. Like, how good would that be? Doing a single-player game, as there's only so much you can monetize in a single-player game. Frag, but this is where I think there's two different approaches that the gaming industry can take around game design. Approach number one is what Blizzard is doing now, and it's basically the approach that every single AAA studio is taking, which is every game that we make must be a billion-dollar game. So we throw everything we can at it. We turn it effectively into an esports almost immediately. And then we ride that wave for as long as possible. This is why you see World of Warcraft on Blizzard's list. You see Call of Duty on Activision's list. You see Overwatch. And you see Diablo. Heroes of the Storm could have been that billion-dollar title, but it didn't take off, and so it got cancelled. That's one way. of doing it. And I think it's fine. The biggest problem you have with that approach is it's risky. Because games that earn $1 billion also tend to cost a lot of money. And you always stand that chance of not being able to make your money back. The approach that I would have taken if I was the CEO of Activision Blizzard would be the approach of death by 1,000 cuts, or how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. So rather than trying to release one game that, has to make $1 billion, you release 10 games that have to make $100 million. That still gets you to $1 billion. Right? That still makes you money. It's just, in my opinion, a lot easier. Because there are plenty of games that launch that can easily make $100 million. And if you look at Blizzard's team, Blizzard have thousands of developers that work for them. And single-player games can generally be made by a team of 20 to 30 people, 60 at the most. Most of the top games that we have in the single-player space tends to have teams of around 40 to 60 people. You don't need more than that, because they'll just get in each other's way eventually. There's only so much that one developer or that developers can do for you. So in my opinion, Toto, by the way, thanks for the follow, really appreciate that. I would have gone for that direction, because even if Blizzard, let's say Blizzard have 2,500 developers, if you dial that down to just 60 developers, how many teams are you left with there? Let's imagine that it is a fair split. So all things being equal, you have 2,500 developers divided by 60. That gives you 41 teams, 42, right? So you have 41 teams at a minimum that can design games for you. That means that you'll be releasing anywhere from 10 to 20 games a year, if not more than that. How much money do you think you can make? Because even if just half of those games do really well, you're still making bank, right? Badanka, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't need to monetize the fuck out of games to make fuck tons of money. Look at Monster Hunter, the Souls games, Elden Ring, God of War, and so on. Well, yeah, but that obviously is something that most AAA studios really struggle with. Because for most AAA studios, the idea is that monetization is king. And that usually happens when the shareholder has taken the place of customer satisfaction. It's a sad reality, but it is the reality. Dude, there's so many fucking brilliant games on Steam that have made so much money, that had very small teams working on it. Like, seriously small teams working on it. If you go, for example, let me show you guys. Fuck, it's going to be easier to show you like this. So, if you go, for example, just a silly game. Oxygen Not Included, right? So, Oxygen Not Included, if I'm not mistaken, I think the team that worked on Oxygen Not Included was something like 15 people. If I'm I think it's 15 people that worked on Oxygen Not Included. The game sold millions of copies. It's literally still sells to this day. They've done DLCs, and those have also sold incredibly well. This game is making money. It's making money still. And it was only 15 people. So what do you think it cost this company to make this game? Let's be incredibly generous. And let's say that it cost this company $1 million to make this game. That's not true. Not even close. But let's say that it cost them $1 million. They've made that back 10x, if not maybe 15x, 20x at this point. That's enough profit, right? That's more than enough profit. Olgrim, how you doing? Terraria. I've never played Terraria, but I've heard about it. RimWorld is another one. Oh, Apocalypse, you love RimWorld, right? There's another game that I've heard about that's apparently RimWorld, but 3D. I need to see if I can find it. People are saying it's really good. Where's the city building games? Wait, did I miss the city building games? Could it fall under survival? Probably could fall under survival. But I don't think it does. Maybe under simulation. Although I don't think it's simulation either. I can't remember the name of the game now. Is it called Stranded? Something Stranded, maybe. It might be called Stranded something. Let me just see. Stranded Alien Dawn. It's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Stranded Alien Dawn. And I love settlement survival games. I love survival games where you build stuff and you sort of have to keep a community alive. But this Stranded Alien Dawn, like if you go to the reviews, one of my favorite games of all time is RimWorld. I loved it before it jumped the shark with all the psionics, nobleman religions, and recently did gene engineering. It was just a survival of the ordinary people on alien planet. Alien Dawn is currently exactly it. It is extremely similar to RimWorld in a lot of aspects. And there's so many reviews that say the exact same thing. It is... it's RimWorld, but not RimWorld, right? In 3D, if this thing will play. No, not VR, Seven. Just 3D. RimWorld is sort of a top-down, kind of 2D game. Whereas this is like this, obviously. So normal... You can also play top-down, or you can take physical control of characters and actually play through the characters. And it's in early access, so you get the game for a steal. They're saying it's good. I wasn't that big of a fan of RimWorld, so obviously I didn't play it, but it's very positive reviews. People seem to be liking it. Apparently the developers are doing a good job of it, so like State of Decay, but more survival mechanics. Yeah, probably. Bronze Bastard. Although I would say State of Decay was probably one of the biggest letdowns of my life. I was so looking forward to State of Decay because it had such promise. It really seemed like it could be such a good game. And then I played it. And within like half an hour, I was like, what the hell is this? This is not what I had in mind. So yeah, I don't know. Wait, the Spacer's Choice edition is already out. Well, they didn't waste any time stealing people's money. right? The hype, it was all right though. Not what I thought I was getting. No, not at all. If you think like zombie survival game, right? And then you play State of Decay, it's there's so much you could do in a zombie survival game, and then you get State of Decay. It's like, bro, what the is this? Dark Mephisto, how you doing, fam? But yeah, I've the only game that I've wanted to play for a while now is StarCraft. Like, to replay StarCraft, because I never played the Protoss story for StarCraft. I played the Terran story. I played the Zerg story, and I never played the Protoss story. StarCraft 2. StarCraft 1 I finished, plus all expansions. I'm mad. They did 3D out of WoW. I bought the glasses for it, and it was gorgeous. All right. I remember when 3D in World of Warcraft was a thing, and I could never get a monitor that could show 3D. CCS, welcome back, bro. Check out the game my company is publishing soon. Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Oh, shit. All right. Tainted Grail. That sounds sexual as fuck, bro. Hey, what kind of sexual disease is that? Oh, shit. This looks dark as fuck. Which one do you want me to check out? We can check out a review, or we can check out the story trailer. Let's check out the story trailer first. I'm always looking for games, Theseus.
Red Death. 600 years ago, King Arthur led the Great Escape from the homelands, where our kingdoms were ravaged by the plague. Leading people to Avalon, he started the Age of Conquest and took the island from the Four Dwellers. Using the mysterious powers of Menhirs, together with Merlin, they cleansed the land of the weirdness, a primordial force of chaos and possibility. But now, long after the death of the king, Camelot is in shambles as Avalon fractures into chaos. Old legends are gone, and the weirdness is creeping back into our lands.
The weirdness. I don't know how I feel about that name. I'm not criticizing, but I don't know how I feel about the weirdness being the word for. Why not call it the wickedness, or yeah, something more fantasy-y.
The bleeding heart of the plague has started beating once more.
Oh yeah,
And the
Apocalypse.
Red Death.
Fade to Silence had such promise, and so shit.
Has returned. Rulers of the island asylum, an order of the Red Priests, are desperate to stop it by any means necessary.
I mean, it looks good. Gives me very Dark Souls vibes. It looks very good, this. Would you mind, Dark Mephisto? I know people don't like people seeing this. Or at least game developers don't like seeing that. But would you mind if we watch a quick worth a buy video on it? I'm not sure if this is him actually playing it, or we can check. Or if he's just speaking about it. Let's see.
It's not out yet. There's a demo coming, but I was kindly given access to the prologue by the developer. This isn't a review. This is just my impressions of what I played today in this game. It's an open world RPG, and it does. Well, At the moment, it's looking like it's going to scratch an Oblivion itch, a Skyrim itch, and dare I say, even a Severance Blade of Darkness itch. We just need more dismemberment for that. But I'll get to first of all the story. It's set in Avalon, and not the Brian Ferry song. That's a different Avalon. It's set in Avalon.
Hey, you called it Apocalypse. It is spelled weirdness.
On Arthurian, the Arthurian, you know, King Arthur and all that stuff. What it says here is King Arthur is long dead and the myths and legends are falling. Humans living in Avalon are desperately trying to find new ways of life and things to believe in. The plague of Red Death and the spreading of weirdness are not helping. Yeah, the spreading of weirdness isn't helping in our world as well. Probably a different type of weirdness, but ours is probably worse, to be fair. Time is running out and multiple factions have their own plan for the future.
Oh, it's first person.
Island. So you've got different factions going on here. It's all open world. You can go where the hell you want, except in the beginning you kind of start in a prison cell. That's where the Severance Blade of Darkness thing got me, because that's where you start off in that. What I would have liked to have seen at the beginning is a lot darker, and maybe I would have liked to just copy Severance Blade of Darkness pretty much with the flame. It was the first game I ever saw real fire. It was like, oh, fire, whoa. It was just crazy. And there's a few games started like this. You've got to go around and you're let out of jail kind of thing. You've got to scavenge around. You can loot everything pretty much. You can just fill your pockets with vases, crockery, anything you like. It's like Skyrim-esque in that sense. Just pick up anything you want. Get yourself armed with anything that you can, and then you'll come across some people who think you should be back in your freaking jail. So
fucking nice.
Now, the combat in this is very oblivion. I'm trying to say oblivion-y. Even though that isn't a word, that's why my mouth's going, what the f***, man? That's not a fucking word, you prick. Use real words or I'm not helping you. Well, no, I'm in charge of your mouth face, so I'm going to say oblivion-y. Oblivion-y. Oh, fuck off. I'm not, no, I'm going to oblivion-y. I'm not moving on till I can say oblivion-y. It's very oblivion-y. Fucking hell, guys. Oblivion-y.
Yeah, all right, let's go.
I give up. It's very Skyrim-y.
There we
it's
go.
Very Skyrim-y. That's easier. So yes, it reminded me of that in the combat. Although it's a bit
Oblivion-y.
The combat at the minute. It's too slow. It feels slow. Now the way the combat works in this, there's a sword and a shield. I just used the sword. So just you can do a bit of parrying. If you block at the last second, you can stagger them because they lose their energy, and then you can spam them a bit. There's heavy and light attacks at the minute, but it's very early doors this game, so you know that could all change. There's also a magic that you can use. You do have access to magic, and there's like a tree of perks that you can get, skill points, I guess. I don't know how far that's going to go yet, because again,
it does seem very slow, the combat, but it might just be in the beginning.
Cast that on a group, so if there's a lot of people attacking you, you can slow them right down, then spam their faces. Yeah, the combat is what it is. I mean, you know, Oblivion and Skyrim combat wasn't the best, but, you know, that wasn't what the game was all about. That was the interactions with everybody. There's a lot of interactions in this game, a lot of multiple choice things. Now, it does say that the decisions will actually mean something in the actual game. They'll have consequences, basically what you say will, and that's how an RPG should be. I didn't feel like any of that was a thing in the prologue that I played. It just kind of felt like I was going down a list of just, yeah, this, I'll ask you that, then that, and you just kind of ask everything available just one at a time, and it didn't seem to do anything. But again, it's an early prologue. This, we'll see how it actually happens when the game is released. The graphics aren't going to win any prizes. It does what it does. It's quite atmospheric. In fact, it's very atmospheric, simply because of the setting. The sound's not too bad, and you just don't know what's going to be around the corner. And it is.
Yeah, the graphics is good.
It's one of them.
It's
games
stylized,
really
and it fits with the world.
The graphics not being the best.
I like it
because you know it's going to be open world. You know there's myths going on here. There's monsters. There's other factions. There's probably animals roaming around. You've got a bow and arrow. You've got your sword, your shield, or you've got your two-handed sword. Whatever takes your fancy. You're all equipped. There's a currency in the game. There's money to loot. There's cooking as well, so you can put different ingredients into a pot, which will give you different kind of types of food. I'm guessing with different levels of potency. You put them on a hotbar, the instant kind of cast things that'll give you instant kind of help. So there's a lot of good ingredients in the cake here, guys, that could spell for a really cool, immersive, open world RPG, which I would love because, let's be honest, we're not going to get a sequel to Skyrim anytime soon. I mean, where the hell is the next Elder Scrolls? It's just kind of got lost somewhere. We don't know where that is, when it's coming or anything. We've got Starfield coming up next. So
even if it comes, it's not going to be it.
So there's a big gap now for something like this. Certainly
Read
the fans
the diary.
Of Morrowind,
Oh my
Oblivion,
God.
and Skyrim.
Wow, he left that diary like unread, just like that. I'll never understand players like that. Never. If something drops that you can read, you read it immediately. Why wouldn't you?
We've been looking for something like this for a long time, and this might scratch that itch, guys. It's far too early to say whether it's going to be good or bad, which is why I'm not even going to bother. That would just be stupid. It is what it is. It's a very early access kind of prologue of the game, but when you go to Steam and you look this up and you see what's coming and you read what's coming,
You really think it's
sounds
being
excellent.
worked on,
Now,
Mike?
if the developer can deliver on what's on Steam, this is going to be definitely a game to keep an eye on. Have a look for yourself. Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Oh, before I go, I need to mention this, or someone will mention it in the comments. I did do a video on, it was a review actually, of Tainted Grail. I think it was Conquest, or it might have turned into Conquest. That might have been something else when I did it, which was
Not our
deck
best sign.
building
That's fine,
turn-based
bro.
game. Now that was set in Avalon as well, but it because it's made by the same developers, but it's nothing to do with this game in that sense of how you play. That was, I think, even a turn-based game, if I remember rightly. But it was a deck building game all the same. So yeah, in fact, I can't remember if it was turn-based or not. It was a while ago, but I know. It
See,
was
the
a card
only
game. So there you
thing,
go, guys.
the only reason this game would lose me is first-person Sword and Shield. Now, I had this argument with my brother, just yesterday actually, because he wants me to play Dark and Darker. I don't know if you guys know what game that is, but yeah, he wants me to play that, and I refuse to. Because I fucking loathe first-person Sword and Shield games. I'm not a huge first-person fan on the face of it. I don't much care for first-person. But I really do not care for first-person Sword and Shield. A sword and a shield, as far as I'm concerned, has to be third-person. It has to be third-person. If you're with a sword and a shield, the problem is that you're talking about close quarters combat, which just always feels awkward when you're so close together. You know, this guy is in your fucking face, you're in their face, and it's a mess to try and figure out what the hell's going on half the time. Whereas third person allows for a lot more. You know, you can put a lot more skill, I feel, into third-person Sword and Shield, because effectively the guy can see what's coming behind him, so the combat pace can be a lot higher, and it doesn't make me want to throw up like an hour into the game. Zukimi, how you doing? You make a terrible warrior IRL? Mike, I mean, it's not comparable. You can't make real life and games the equivalent of each other because it's not comparable. In real life, your reactions, or a lot of your reactions, happen automatically. Right? You see something coming at your head, your brain will instinctively move to block what's coming at your head. Whereas that is not true for games, right? Nothing's happening instinctively. There's movement involved, there's latency involved, there's delays involved. There's a lot of things that will happen in a game that isn't going to happen in real life, that you're not going to have to deal with in real life. So I agree, though we add a third person depending on the feedback and how good the sales will be. Dark Mephisto, I feel like the sales would have been better if you went for third person right off the bat. Like, look, I'm not going to sit here and armchair criticize your game because I'm not a game developer, so what the fuck do I know? And I don't think my opinion is shared by many people based on the number of people that play Skyrim. But one of the reasons I've never been able to get through Skyrim is because it favors first person. And I do not favor first person. I hate first person. So yeah, I would say don't listen to me because what I have to say and how I feel about it does not matter. No, Mike, you can't completely play Skyrim third person. You can tell by the way the character moves, by the way the fighting is, that it was not built to be played as third person. Third person was tacked on, it was not optimized for. And oh my god, only Skyrim fanboys would say, oh my god, you can so play that game third person. And then you take them to an actual game that was designed for third person. And they say, oh, I see no difference. Even though Witcher 3, Skyrim, difference, massive, no difference. Same game, 100%. Sure, I'm sure. Let's leave it at that. I can tell you, as someone who only plays in third person, it's clunky as fuck to play Skyrim in third person. You can criticize. I do like feedback, but yeah, Exec told us what we can and can't do. It's always the executives aren't there. It's always the fucks in the suits. Real melee in first person is horrendous. I know the internet is currently taking a dump. I can see it. Don't worry. Yeah. It seems like the internet is taking a dump. God knows what's going on. It's just bad. But this is par for the course. You guys know how this goes, right? This is just how streams with Akalon goes. The internet works perfectly fine for a few hours, and then it takes a shit. Because why wouldn't it? You know? Feels good. Andy, who's in ghost person view? Wait, what do you mean ghost person view, Mike? Yeah, Growth, I have no idea what's going on with the internet, sadly. I really have no idea. Hopefully it fixes itself so you guys can keep watching. Oh, before power just cut off? No, but my power doesn't just... B-Stefan, how you doing, fam? My power doesn't cut off anymore. It's just internet problems. The power doesn't cut off. It's internet problems. Remember, I have a battery and inverter now. So... don't worry about it. Bad internet. It's just been 25 minutes with 2800 ms in LFR. Fuck. I'm sure it will be fine. Andy is a ghost of the 13th century serving wench. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. I don't know what the ghost reference is even about. No idea. It's always either you are a small indie company and you don't have money to do everything you want, or you have investors who know shit about games and they won't give you money for what they think is necessary. Or you do what Steam did, which I think is the way that all gaming companies should be run. You never get investors, you remain a private company, and you figure out how to get like shit tons of money so you can make the games that you and only you give a shit about. That would be my goal. I moved to the UK, was sick to death with SA Bull. Toto, I feel you, man. Believe me, I feel you. It gets, how quickly does the inverter kick in? No, it's instant, CCS. I barely notice it. Like, the only thing I can see is the lights kind of dip. That's literally the only thing I see when the inverter kicks in. My PC doesn't dip, nothing else even takes, like, skips a beat. So yeah. But yeah, Toto, I get why people are leaving the country, believe me. I just don't really, right now at least, I feel like there's so much trouble in the world that I don't want to make a decision just yet. But I would probably also leave the country, given the opportunity, because, yeah, there's some things that just do not work well here, and I don't think that it's ever gonna work well. Dogfish Zone, do you guys make good money with tabletops? Do you need to use a UPS? Massey, well, I don't need to use a UPS, but if I don't, I will have, I will basically go back to the load shedding schedule, which means some days I can't stream. I have to cut the stream short no matter what I do. You know, it's just, yeah, it is what it is. Did you see that South Africa video I put on your Discord? On the Reddit? No, I have not, Grofile. I should actually check that out. But I saw another South African video that just dropped that I quickly want to watch. I know most of you guys don't give a shit about South Africa, but I do. So, you know, you're along for the fucking ride.
Okay, here we are again with Worldview and Action SA, this time represented by Arthur Trollip. He is a very well-known figure in South African politics. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I'm going to go straight into it. Arthur, thank you so very much for making the time to speak to me this morning.
Thank you, Solly. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to Worldview, their viewers, and with yourself. Always a pleasure.
And yes, B. Stefan, I have a 5 kilowatt hour battery and a 5 kVA inverter. Battery inverter in case I need to bug out. EcoFlow, from what I've heard, is really good, CCS. I would probably go for that.
Yeah, it is always a pleasure, indeed. You know, my home is in the Western Cape. In the Western Cape, in Cape Town, and we've seen over the years many people from the Eastern Cape, where you are the head of Action SA, people coming into the Western Cape. And then they get to the Western Cape, you see people still promoting the ANC or against the. What is going on? Do you see those movements? Why would people run away from the Eastern Cape? I know it's not from running away from Action SA, but from the DA. How are you from the ANC? How do you guys say to South Africans, stay here? We're going to make this place work for all of us. I mean, South Africans can go anywhere they want. Nobody says they mustn't. But the movement has been almost the flight out of the Eastern Cape, and yet the ANC continues to run the show. What is going on there?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, there are a lot of issues that you've raised there. So if I can just try and unpack them as quickly as possible. First of all, there is no doubt that there's a massive outflow or an unprecedented urbanization of people from the central and northeastern part of the Eastern Cape to the cities. Okay, I don't think it's any more prevalent anywhere else in South Africa, certainly not in South Africa, possibly even the world, that we have such an accelerated urbanization of people fleeing the poverty of the rural hinterland. And recently, Oscar Mabuyane, the Premier of the Eastern Cape, made a public admission and said that the ANC had failed the rural people of the Eastern Cape. Now, I think that's a massive...
Wow. The ANC had failed the people of South Africa. It doesn't matter where in South Africa you live. The ANC have failed all people. So, yeah, they failed the rural people of South Africa. But so too, if they failed the urban people of South Africa, they failed the rich, the poor, the middle class. Who the fuck haven't they failed? What is wild, and what I will agree with him here, is the people that leave, and I've spoken to a few people like this, the people that leave Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, that come to the Western Cape, and then when they arrive in the Western Cape, they vote ANC, or they vote fucking Patriotic Alliance or EFF. And it's like, hold on. You fled from an ANC controlled area to a DA controlled area. You came here because this area is the most well-run area in the country, mainly because the government doesn't fucking run this place. And yet, now you want to vote for the very party that fucking caused this shit in the first place. What the hell's going on? Why are you stupid? You fled because the ruling party is causing shit and is incapable of running the country. Now you get here and you want to vote them right back into power so that they can just ruin this place too. It's wild to me, dude. The stupidity of human beings. The ANC is the African National Congress, Frag. It's the party that basically runs South Africa. They have run South Africa for the last 25 plus years. And basically in that time, they've destroyed the country. Just like Dames in the US, they flee Cali or Chicago and move to Florida or Texas, then keep voting for the same idiotic policies that they fled their state over. Yeah, that's pretty much it's pretty much the way of the game, right?
Admission. And also, we're a rural province. We're an agricultural province. We have got some motor industries in the two big metros, but other than that, we have no mining. So our real assets, provincial assets, are the fact that we have extraordinary agricultural potential. We also have great tourism potential, and we have a very extensive coastline. Now, those are three things that should stand in very good stead for us, but they're not being properly exploited or properly utilized.
The Eastern Cape also used to have one of the largest harbors in South Africa. Like, their harbor was actually very, very fucking good and very big, the harbor in Port Elizabeth. And it got ruined along with everything else.
So we have massive unemployment in the rural hinterland, and this Eastern Cape has got the highest unemployment in the whole country, close to 50%. So every second adult in this province doesn't work in the formal sector.
Jesus.
And nearly 70% youth unemployment. So what we've seen is people move out of the rural hinterland, leave their families, dislocate the social fabric, end up living in twilight zones on the periphery of cities in the Eastern Cape, namely Buffalo City and Nelson Mandela Metro. And they live in terrible circumstances, terrible socio-economic circumstances, and can't get access to jobs. So the next step in that search for greener pastures or employment is to move down the west coast or the east coast down to the Western Cape. And you see the first stop is Humansdorp, Jeffreys Bay, St. Francis Bay, then on to Plet, then Knysna, then Mossel Bay, and then finally places like Swellendam, Hermanus, and then Cape Town. So that is a phenomenon, and it has a couple of consequences. First of all, we only have population surveys every 4 or 5 years.
Right.
There's a video here of a guy saying that we should not vote for any of the old political group. At the end, they ask if he will be voting. He says yes. He will vote for Hezbollah. Fuck. Okay. There are plenty of systems in place where I live that pay people to leave urban areas, especially Chicago, to come live here. P-Dog, where do you live?
And even those are not very effectively done. I myself was not counted in this survey in this year. So what happens is that the Eastern Cape gets less and less money, and the Western Cape should get more and more money. But because those surveys or censuses don't always coincide with population movements, there's always a bit of a drag.
Right.
So you end up people living in squalor also in the Western Cape, and that's a big issue. And it's as if the ANC government just can't see it. They just close a blind eye and carry on doing the same things. I listened to Oscar Mobiane's State of the Province address this last week, and he touched on all the issues. So it means he has an understanding of what's going on, but what he's doing about it is completely...
What does it matter if they have an understanding of what's the problem? It's not hard to get an understanding of what the problem is. Just open your fucking eyes. Or just turn on the TV. They'll tell you within about 5 minutes what the problems are. That doesn't matter if no one has the political will to fix the problems.
There's no evidence that they're doing anything. For example, he said they were revitalizing the industrial parks of the former homelands. Well, I went there last week, Solly. I went there on Thursday, and I went to Fort Jackson, I went to Dimbaza, I went to Butterworth. I wanted to go and see for myself. And all I saw were the skeletal remains of factories from a bygone era and no other economic investment other than clear view fencing being put up around these industrial parks. And those kind of contracts always go to good comrades, but it's not real economic investment. It's just smoke and mirrors stuff.
Right. Is it, I mean, but do people make a connection between the plight or the state of the Eastern Cape and the fact that the ANC has failed, or do they separate the two? Because the ANC seems to be doing fairly well in elections over there over time.
Look, the ANC definitely get the highest support in this province of all the other provinces. So there is a sort of a disjuncture between the kind of service delivery that we get in this province and the kind of support that the ANC gets.
Right.
But you know, a whole lot of things are now culminating at once for the ANC that are making the looming 2024 election something for them to be very nervous about. Load shedding, job shedding, poor economic growth.
The only thing that bothers me about all of these people talking about load shedding, as if load shedding is going to be the thing that makes the ANC lose the next election, is the people that live in the townships of South Africa do not have electricity to begin with. They don't have electricity to start off with. I know of plenty of townships in Limpopo that has never had a single connection to the Eskom grid. They don't know about any of this. So for them, what load shedding? It's always been load shedding, right? It doesn't matter. So I do think that a lot of these political parties are sort of speaking from the perspective of someone living in the city. Because in the cities, load shedding is terrible. If you go out into like the middle of buttfuck nowhere, where they don't have electricity to start off with, load shedding is not even a thing on your radar. You probably don't even know what it is. Does the load shedding affect the rich? The load shedding, the only people in the country, Massey, that isn't affected by load shedding in South Africa are the politicians. These are the only people that do not get affected by load shedding. And we're talking the high-level politicians, so the ones that work within the government and are part of the government. They don't get load shed. The rich, as it were, they do get load shed, I think. Although the ministers of South Africa live in the very rich neighborhoods. So there is a chance that they don't get load shed either, because those entire neighborhoods are excluded from load shedding.
Poor education.
Remembrancer of Man. How you doing, bro? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. If you're rich, you probably have your inverter set up. Yeah, I mean, if you are rich, you can probably get away with not even experiencing it. Solar panels, inverters, batteries, and all that stuff.
Poor safety and security. The Eastern Cape's becoming something of a killing field. We saw that KwaZulu-Natal for many decades has been the killing field or political killing field, but the Eastern Cape has succumbed to that as well. So I think there's going to be a convergence of all of these things, that there's going to be a turnaround. And like anything in life, you know, a tipping point, when it comes very quickly. It appears to take a long time, but then when it does come, it tips very quickly. And I think the biggest challenge for the ANC, Solly, is the fact that 53% of the electorate that are registered to vote and have voted before did not vote in the last election. So there's a massive body
Very
of
proud
South
of my
Africans
country,
out
by
there.
the way. Very proud of my country for that one. South Africa is the only country in the world currently that is ruled by a minority government, insofar as the majority of South Africans did not vote. And definitely did not vote for the ANC. So basically, you could make the argument this is an illegitimate government from start to finish. because they did not get the vote from the majority of people. Massey, you have to understand something about South Africa. It's not the same as the rest of the world. My government is not in bed with the rich people of South Africa. That's probably not correct. The individual ministers are in bed with the rich people of South Africa, insofar as they get rich by bribes and things like that. But officially, my government is a communist government. They hate businesses. They hate rich people. So officially, the rich doesn't get any handouts, unless, of course, the government can also get rich through those handouts. Otherwise, they don't waste their time with the rich at all. And yeah, they have their fingers in almost every pie economically in South Africa.
Who are disillusioned, disappointed with their previous political affiliation, and that's primarily the ANC of that 53%, but also of many other parties. Those people are disillusioned, so they're waiting in the wings for something new, something fresh that they can hold on to that makes them believe that we can turn this around.
So
Now, I'm the eternal optimist, so I believe that the Eastern Cape has got incredible potential. And if I can use one example, the city of Makanda, it used to be called Grahamstown, named after a famous Xhosa general and a warrior during the frontier wars. Now, Makanda should be akin to the Stellenbosch of the Eastern Cape, but it's not. It's actually the armpit of the Eastern Cape. Okay. It's got magnificent educational institutions, has a wonderful university, has the High Court of the Eastern Cape based there. It's got some incredible religious cathedrals, and it is...
Yeah, this guy's saying nothing new. Fuck him. Just talking about the Eastern Cape. No one cares about the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape is just whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm not doing great. DM Diablo Immortal. What? What is this about? What the hell is this channel?
This is gonna be one of the longer...
Hold up. This is a channel literally built on Diablo Immortal. What the fuck? Alright. Let's see.
Find yourself in is... This video might be a little bit of a hard watch. I don't blame you if this isn't the type of video you're looking to watch today. It's not. I'm not going to teach you something about Diablo today. I might teach you a little bit about myself and hopefully a little bit about situations that maybe you find yourself in as well. It's something I've kept like fairly under wraps on this channel. I keep this channel fairly professional. I keep this channel fairly like buttoned up, just guides on Diablo, row SEO heavy and stuff, and just kind of focus on what I think the people are here for, which is the information. If you have any interest in me and how I'm doing in my history, then maybe this video is for you. But if you're looking only strictly like I'm here for the top tips and tricks, on to the next one, Chief. This one ain't it, okay? I have not been doing very great. Just going to be honest with you guys. I've been kind of pushing through it the last few months. I'm not new to like not doing well. If you've watched me for a while, before this channel even existed, like on the Darth Microtransactions channel, you'll know part of what I'm known for is kind of going out here and doing one of these videos, which is talking when I'm not doing well to other people who are also not doing well. And
bro, you should not be... Fuck me, you should not be putting this shit on the internet. I'm not watching this. The internet has nothing to do with your fucking problems, bro. It's fine if you're doing badly. It's fine if your life is falling apart for whatever fucking reason. But the internet is not your place to unburden yourself. It's not what your viewers are there for. It's not... Because at the end of the day, what are your viewers going to do? That's the big question you have to ask yourself. What will your viewers do? If I started a stream and I just sat here crying for fucking 50 minutes straight, right, about how bad I'm doing, at the end of all of that, what did that actually achieve? Nothing. I've just washed my dirty laundry in public, which shouldn't have happened. And I've basically unloaded a bunch of my fucking issues on my viewers that didn't deserve it. You know? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just built different or raised differently, but unless I'm like in dire straits, you know, like it is going super bad and life is really falling apart, I might say like a sentence, which is going, it's not going great now. And then I'll move on, right? Like anything like super bad that happens to me, I will never tell anyone about that shit. Every time I log into my rogue, I just start crying. Why? What's wrong with your rogue? I don't understand. What's wrong with your rogue? What is there to watch, chat? Everything can see my rogue no matter what I do? What do you mean? Do rogues not have stealth anymore?
Finally got the unification mod for Soulstorm to work. Jesus, that took forever.
What took you so long, Donnie? I've been waiting for you and Joe for over an hour.
Never mind that. Where's Joe? We need a third player.
Did someone say they need a third player?
Oh, hey, Ben.
Fuck, not this guy.
We need someone else. Obama and your former vice president appears to have fallen asleep smelling some child's hair.
Fine, I guess I can tolerate this idiot for half an hour.
This is epic. What are we doing? How do we win this?
This is a survival mode. It's almost impossible to beat, but the gist is we hold the line at our bases against 10 waves of enemies.
Also, Ben, why are you playing as the Eldar?
Using indisputable facts and logic as I always do, I've come to the conclusion that if I lead the Elder to victory here, my chances of getting a big titty space elf GF will increase drastically.
Contact. Tau fire warriors are chasing my guardsmen off the point.
The Tau? That's odd. I assumed that we agreed only Joe will play them. Shit, the blue commies are also attacking me.
It appears we've got the Kami Tau commanders moving in with their weeb suits.
I told you all I'd get my revenge.
Joe?
That's right, assholes. The greater good has the overwhelming upper hand now. You'll all feel the wrath of the BICAST military program.
Joe, this is cheating in every sense of the word. You're playing the survival enemy. You've basically got unlimited resources.
Told you Sleepy Joe cheats, plus Ben is still a newbie to Dawn of War.
I feel like Joe should be playing the Imperium since he's as old as it.
He's attracted to the Tau because they're the youngest race.
Hold the line, fellas.
Shit.
I've already got crisis suits and transports to ferry them to each of your bases. This proves that I'm the best.
Damn Joe keeps his battle plans as loosely guarded as classified documents.
That's rich coming from you, Donnie.
We're supposed to be on the same team, idiots. Stop bickering like you're trying to pass literally anything in Congress.
I've already overwhelmed Shapiro's petty defenses. The might of the Tau Empire completely overshadows all of you.
Fuck this, I'm building the wall. Now you see the need for one Obama?
Donnie, you're making that line of heavy bolter turrets in possibly the worst position. So yet again, your wall is pointless.
Doesn't matter, I'm going to blow it apart with orbital lasers anyway.
Not to worry, everyone. Dreadnought Reagan has reawakened.
I will endure 1,000 resign requests before I yield.
Shit, boys, Biden has overwhelmed me, and damn it, yep, that's it. I'm out of the match.
Sorry it had to come to this, Barack.
Fuck you, you dementia-ridden fossil. Next time, try winning without the game breastfeeding your incompetent ass.
Trump, I'm scared. If we don't win, my chances of getting an Eldar waifu are as slim as GW making Abaddon a good character again.
Stay focused, Ben. Biden has the cheats, but we've got the skill. Hang tight.
Your doom is upon you, Donald. I'm redirecting my forces I used to destroy Obama to wreck your pathetic base.
Not so fast, Sleepy Joe. Your weak fire warriors are papier-mâché without their precious Kroot meat shields. Defeated again, Joe.
Oh God, oh fuck, Sleepy Joe is gonna, damn it. There goes my chance for an Eldar girlfriend. You're all that's left, Donald.
That's it. I'm going on the offensive.
Donald, no. The game will spawn in multiple endgame units for Joe if you try to attack his base.
If that's the case, then screw this. Joe is only winning because the game is holding his hand harder than CNN.
L plus Cope plus no White House.
I think maybe next time we set some ground rules before we play against each other again.
In this rare case, I agree with Ben. Joe, this isn't fun for anyone else.
Doesn't matter. Only Dark Brandon's feelings are important.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go watch the rest of Minute Hammer's videos because they're great.
Same here. His lore shorts are very immersive.
All right. I don't know. The previous ones were a bit better. I will say, though, it's a little scary how good some of these voices are. That is a little scary. Because, dude, it should not be that good, right?
AI makes all WoW quests voice acted? Wait, what? Really? Oh my god, let me look at this.
While I get things back in order here, I'd like to ask you for a favor.
Wow.
One of my former apprentices embarked in a very dangerous line of research. She journeyed to the East Sanctum.
And I guess this is going to be all of the quests. And yeah, that's close enough. I would say this is good.
One more request from Lord Salthoril concerning supplies for his party. Do I look like a party planner? Between you and me, that fool and his sycophants are living in denial that we're under attack here. Some of us are actually
This is actually
busy with,
pretty good.
I don't know, defending
Wow.
what's left of Quel'Thalas. Hero, would you please head over to Salthoril's Haven and see if you can shut him up? It's just down the road to the west.
Oh my god.
This is actually very good.
This makes
Fuck.
it so much better. Yeah, that's way better than what I had expected.
Dude, can you imagine? Like, how good would WoW be with complete AI voice acting? It's not proper voice acting, but it's already everything voiced. Room is always clean if you have the lights off. True.
Last week, we called attention
go.
to the massive disruption to the Final Fantasy XIV top-end raid community over the use of add-ons in its raid environment, with their top D, Yoshi P, saying, look, if we have to design bosses around add-on usage, then why the hell should we bother? Which prompted a lot of outcry from our World of Warcraft viewers, as well as a lot of people who follow the Race to World first, and this is...
The truth is, WoW viewers get incredibly defensive when you start taking on the add-ons. Even though I think there is an argument to be made for the game being objectively better with the removal of add-ons. At least add-ons that make the game easier or allow you to cheat certain elements of the game. They keep all of the cosmetic add-ons, but remove the add-ons that make the game easier to play. The second you say that, people lose their fucking minds. Like, people go nuts the second you say that.
This has been going on for a while. Why doesn't Blizzard ban add-ons outright? Especially when you look at the screens of a lot of players who are going into raiding or even going into PvP and seeing them filled with various add-ons, changing the way the game is played.
Yep.
That's what we're going to look at today. In association with a lot of people who make these add-ons, we're going to go over a brief history of add-ons in World of Warcraft and why they can't just get rid of them all. Let's go.
Yeah,
I want you to cast your minds back, if you can, if you were even alive at that time, to 2004. World of Warcraft has just come out. It is taking the online community by storm. It is sucking up millions of players year on year, and it's bringing them into a brand new way of looking at online RPGs. Add-ons were always supported by Blizzard, and why the hell not? We had no idea all those years back what add-ons could become. In fact, add-ons have been around for a long time, and they've always been kind of innocent for the most part. Not cheats, but changing things.
I actually believe that add-ons had a good amount to do with the success of World of Warcraft. Was that it was one of the few MMOs that allowed for full functionality of add-ons, and then at the same time had a community that was willing to go out and design add-ons for it, to basically tackle some of the issues that the game inherently would have, especially in the early days. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the very early days of World of Warcraft, you couldn't even see your raid team. In order to see your raid team, you needed an add-on just to see everyone that's in your raid. That's how limited the game was.
Adopting things and doing things the community likes, while also taking pressure off the developers to create all those features for them. So Blizzard created World of Warcraft with add-on developers in mind, and for a long time, like 8 years, it was all pretty innocent, to be honest. If you think back to before add-ons became a thing, or if you weren't there, let me explain. They were always in use, but just not in the way you thought. People recognized very early on that boss design, certainly in the early days of Molten Core, were based on patterns and timers, as most bosses in video games are. In fact, they kind of need to be. It's worth remembering that a computer can detect every input everybody is making all the time, and can beat you 100% of the time if it chooses to. You think about a fighting game where you fought an enemy that was clearly unfair. Yes, the game is simply checking what you're pressing and countering it before you would humanly have a chance to do it. In fact, in all video games, bosses pretty much have to play badly in order to be beaten, intentionally and by design. So players in World of Warcraft started to notice, yeah, okay, this guy does this at a certain time. What we can do is start a stopwatch outside of the game and track that, so that we can have this audible boss mod system going on in the early days of TeamSpeak and Ventrilo, where we were calling them out with physical stopwatches in hand as to when mechanics were going to happen, and that's how the early guilds did it. Blizzard, of course, recognized this and started adding things called APIs. APIs are simply ways the game outputs information that is usable by other developers in order to turn it into something more legible, something easier. Changing your combat log was a great one back in vanilla to show you what type of damage you were getting in a nice simplistic way, how you died, things like that. And of course, we started the beginnings of bigwigs and deadly boss mods, where the stopwatches were taken from the physical world and put into the game. But the Blizzard already started to draw the line, certainly in 2005. These add-ons were utilizing the tools that Blizzard gave them, and over the years, more and more information was given out to the players to use, as well.
We're gonna have to talk about that add-on that came around in Wrath of the Lich King. I can't remember what it's called now, but there was an add-on in Wrath of the Lich King that would literally allow raid leaders to draw on the physical world of the game. So you could literally, in a boss fight, you could draw where players had to go stand, and they would be able to see it in their game. If they had the add-on, they would be able to see, oh, okay, I have to run from here to that point and then stand there. And then Blizzard went, whoa, whoa, whoa. This was not what we had in mind when we said you guys can make add-ons. We did not expect that you were going to stop making add-ons that literally allow you to play the game for you, in a way.
Well as for Blizzard's own usage, such as the Armory or the Battle.net app. That information is going somewhere and can be used by the players. In 2005, an add-on called Decursive started to show its ugly head. Now, some of you may still use Decursive, but it does not work the way it used to work, certainly back in my day, my boomer days of playing World of Warcraft. Decursive, in the way it used to work, would automatically detect everybody in the raid and figure out if they had a debuff that could be dispelled by you. Yeah. Not only that, you could make a macro called /decursive, and you could spam this one button. And what this one button would do would automatically seek out the players that had a debuff that you could dispel, and dispel them without you having to target them, look at your raid frames, do anything whatsoever. Think about that now. You could literally spam any button on your keyboard that you would assign to this macro, and it would just dispel everybody automatically. You didn't have to do a goddamn thing. You didn't even have to know what the name of your decursing or magic removal spell was. It would do it automatically for you. This is where Blizzard drew the first line. Hey, we're totally fine with you guys making add-ons. That's fine. We're okay with that. But we do not want add-ons to play the game for you. Tracking a boss timer, sure, you're doing it anyway with a stopwatch, not a big deal. But once you've figured out how to let something play the game for you, that's no good to us. We don't want to do that. And they broke the Decursive add-on. Funny story, I actually got promoted in the first time I stepped up to a high-end guild during their Blackwing Lair trial run for me. I had the most dispels on the Chromagus fight. I pressed one button the entire encounter, and I got promoted off the back of that, because they did not know the power of decursive. I was a little annoyed
shit.
when that...
There we go. Oh my god, failed his way to the top. I remember when Blizzard broke decursive. The guild that I was in at the time, I wasn't hardcore raiding with them, but I remember, like, suddenly they couldn't do a single fight in the raid. Like, not a single fight. It did not matter. They couldn't do it. Because none of their healers knew where to look for curses outside of decursive. Where do you look? Where do you see curses? No one knew, because the add-on had basically made it so that you didn't have to know. As long as you had the add-on, you would never need to look at a player's frame to figure out what's on them and what isn't. Back at Killing Pigs at the new character zone. Wonder if there are some AI bots that can play for you now at that high level. Yeah, you could probably build that, B. Stefan. It would be difficult, but you could probably build it.
That add-on got broken because it got me promoted into a guild. I passed my trial phase very, very quickly thanks to decursive, so thank you, early add-on developers. And from that point on, up until Wrath of the Lich King, people were making pretty innocuous, yet slightly better add-ons. We had really in-depth websites that were working on things before Discord even existed, such as Elitist Jerks, which Ian Hazacostas was a part of at the time, who were looking for more and more advanced ways of figuring things out. And during Wrath of the Lich King, there was a big launch of an add-on that took the raiding world, at least, by storm, and that was called Power Auras. Power Auras is very, very easy to see in a lot of raid kill videos. If you go back to Wrath of the Lich King and Dissidia, you'll see nearly every player using Power Auras. It's spread through the community by wildfire. Now, what did it actually do?
We used Power Auras, but to be fair, I don't know what else it could do, but basically back then, we used Power Auras sort of the same way people use Weak Auras today. You guys, most of you should be using Weak Auras, or at least those of you that raid. We used it very similarly, but mainly as a personal thing. So, for example, when you have your trinkets pop, you could put like the actual icons on your screen to show you that your trinkets have just popped. This was really helpful for things like snapshotting, especially as a demonology warlock going into demon form. You wait literally until the last seconds of your trinkets, and then you pop your demon form, which means your demon form now for the next minute has like those trinkets on it because it would snapshot on those trinkets. So that's why we used stuff like Power Auras for. And then it got replaced with Weak Auras eventually, but I'm sure it probably did a hell of a lot more than what we used it for.
Well, it's not Weak Auras. It was the early sort of middling stepchild. It was the baby that was left up in the attic version of Weak Auras. Essentially, all it did was allow you to track things like buffs and debuffs, such as what bosses would put on you, and give you a different graphical option to deal with it. That was it. You could make a giant graphic that indicated you had the debuff of death that you had to run out of the raid with. Very simple stuff, and Blizzard was okay with this because you were just utilizing the information the game was giving you anyway, just changing it graphically. Not much different than the people making fancy UIs, using crazy things like Ice Hood and all those kinds of things of fond memory of yesteryear. So Blizzard was fine with this, and every raider made their raiders pretty much install this, because one of the most common things, and I remember this clearly at XT Deconstructor, was a fight that had individuals have to run out of the raid, very similar to Baron-Geddon, put You Are the Bomb, and instead of waiting for that debuff to pop up, would actually physically run out of the raid. And Blizzard was okay with this. It's not playing the game for you, it's just displaying the same information in a slightly different way. But towards the end of Wrath of the Lich King, things got a little bit egregious because some very, very clever mathematicians figured out that they could utilize the current APIs that Blizzard had implemented.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Add-ons like that, I have no problem with, and I'm all for add-ons like that, because there are just, everyone is different, right? Every human being is different. Some people track things differently. So, for example, for one person, this bar, right, that shows gas spore on the side of his screen, That's all he needs. He sees that gas bore, he knows it's coming in 2 seconds, no problem. Another person may actually prefer text. The bar really sort of blends into their screen, so they would prefer something like text. For another person, a sound might actually be better because they're more audible in a way. And add-ons that just allow you to basically provide a sound or, see what the different timers are going to be, I don't necessarily mind that because those things are already built into the game in the first place. What I do mind is how far a lot of these add-ons have now come. Nowadays, when you install something like Bigwix or something like Deadly Boss Mods, it doesn't just show you the ability that's coming within the next 10 seconds. It shows you the abilities that's coming for the whole fight. It literally tells you when the phase change is about to happen. It tells you to move away. It tells you where to go stand. To my mind, that is taking things too far. To my mind, you have now taken that add-on from just being able to provide you with information to basically providing you with how to play the fight. And as long as you do what the add-on says, you should be able to get through the add-on no problems. That is the example, in my mind, of an add-on that has gone too far, because it's no longer just providing another method of tracking information. It's now also providing extra information that otherwise you would have really had to pay attention to the fight for.
To actually project images onto the game world. Now, you will be aware that add-ons, of course, simply put images on your UI. They don't do anything to the game world itself, it just displays your information in a different way. AVR actually physically put textures and things into the game, onto the floor, onto the walls, and it was so clever that it could track things that you were supposed to keep your eyes open and avoid, such as Festergut's bombs flying around everywhere or Syndragosa's ice tombs, and it would tell you where you could and could not stand to simply nullify this mechanic. Now, Blizzard obviously recognized at the time that the ability of players to literally project images onto the game world was a very bad thing, and that could lead into some really dangerous territory that was already becoming readily apparent after Power Auras and things had started to rear their ugly.
Golgoth, so the counterpart is sort of like the chicken and egg discussion, right? Because the main question there becomes what came first. And in my mind, it is the intricacy and the what shall we call it? The sophistication of add-ons that have led to boss fights becoming harder and harder to counteract the sophistication of the add-ons. Because we saw what happened. When Classic WoW came out, now with add-ons, the bosses were a complete pushover. People killed those bosses in about 30 minutes. Right? Because the boss design was so straightforward, mainly because first it was a new game, right? It was always going to be much easier the second time around. But then also at the same time, it was very straightforward bosses. The boss would do this, then a couple of seconds later, the boss would do this, and then a couple of seconds, the boss would do this. And all you had to do as a team was figure out how the boss does these things and what you need to do to counteract it. But there was a level of discussion that had to take place between you and the team, what everyone is going to be doing at any given point. Nowadays, a fight like that, add-ons would make short work of that, right? An add-on would literally just destroy that fight. So I would argue if you removed that functionality from add-ons, Blizzard wouldn't have to make bosses so incredibly intricate, right? Because, well, why would you? People no longer have the ability to track every single thing you do, so you no longer need abilities that cross over, because if you think about it, there's now so many abilities that cross over in World of Warcraft. And the reason those abilities exist, where sometimes you just get these mathematically impossible pulls. And this, as a raider, this happened to me quite often. And I know it happens to other people. You have a pull, something goes a little wrong, and everyone immediately knows this is a wipe. Because the first thing went wrong, The next thing and the thing after that is literally inescapable. You're not going to be able to survive through it because the first thing went wrong. That is an example of a game that had to be over-designed in order to ensure that even with the add-ons, the fight still provides you with a modicum of challenge.
Heads. So Blizzard stepped in and made sure that that was no longer possible. Again, this is an add-on that kind of crosses that line between you taking the same information the game is giving you and turning it into something that is physically changing the world, making the game too easy and very difficult for the devs to work with. So that's a lot of fairness right there. But then we get fancier. As we move through the expansions, weak auras does start to appear. And the weak auras team did help with this video, and they're fantastic. And I want to say a big thanks to them for being very open with us with how these things work. And more importantly, how things can change.
But there's no reason for the weak auras team not to work with Preach, because it's not their fault. The game provides the functionality for it. If they don't design for that, someone else will. And then weak auras will lose its spot as the top dog. So they have no choice. They have to provide, first and foremost, what players ask for, and most people don't even realize that, but as a lot of the things that is provided in these add-ons oftentimes gets driven by the top-end guilds. These top-end guilds will oftentimes have direct lines to these groups, these add-on makers, because when they encounter the fight on the PTR, they'll be like, hey, we need functionality for this tracking. And then the add-on team goes and basically designs functionality that can allow them to track this thing, whatever it might be. Exhaustus raid tools, for example, is a good example of an add-on that first started with the Exhaustus guild. It was their add-on that they eventually made available for everyone. Because that's how sophisticated things had to become just to keep up with the convoluted game design
going forward, and we'll get there shortly. And now Blizzard has a problem. Weak auras isn't actually doing anything egregious. It's using the information that's readily available in the game, and it's just displaying it in a different way. But the devs start to run into problems as these things are getting a lot more powerful than they previously considered, meaning they have to up their game. If we go back to Final Fantasy XIV for a second, which has a strict no add-on policy, it's very quickly and easy to see if you follow any of the boss fights, including the current Omega Ultimate that is being tackled by a lot of players, how weak auras would destroy those encounters. And in fact, we have a prime example. If we look at this Omega fight, and I know for our World of Warcraft viewers this will look a little confusing, but all I want you to do is look at the debuffs that are present on the players in phase 1 of this fight. And what you'll see is just a series of numbers. Now, what's about to happen in the next couple of minutes is extraordinarily difficult. This is an ultimate encounter after all, and they are the most difficult encounters in MMOs at the moment. And that is all going to be dealt with by the players based on numbers. Once these numbers are thrown out, it is then entirely down to the players to figure out what to do with that information, including reorientating themselves, splitting themselves into 2 different groups, which will randomly change depending on the number you're assigned on a pull-by-pull basis, and then deal with the very difficult mechanics that are going on. And they have to do this very, very quickly. And all of that is decided by numbers. Now, we have a great comparison to how weak auras and very powerful add-ons change the nature of encounters depending on who has access to them, and really backs up what Yoshi P was talking about. Let's go back to Archimonde Mythic. We had an epic showdown going on, Paragon versus Method. Everybody was tracking who was going to get a legendary ring. Paragon managed to get their legendary ring during the reset. Both guilds are working on the last boss. Both guilds are at the absolute pinnacle of their ability. Who's going to come out first? Well, Method eventually clinched it. It's only a few days later, when other guilds kill it, that the videos are released. Remember, this predates the live stream era. And what we see is something very, very interesting happen with one of the mechanics called Wrought Chaos. Wrought Chaos is a very simple mechanic. People are marked in pairs, and they will shoot a laser between each other. If people are caught in between those lasers, they take a huge amount of damage and potentially die. And if 2 of them get caught, then you just die straight away. Very simple mechanic. Now, here's where our good friend Just Wait and Co. come in. Just Wait, a current member of the tech team on Echo, but a previous World First Raider himself, and also a contributor towards this video. They managed to figure out an add-on. Method managed to figure out, using the radar system, how they could simply nullify this
I remember
entire
this.
difficult mechanic by simply having the radar detect who was paired, draw a line between them, and then also tell those players if somebody was in between them. That line would change to red. If your line is red, you need to shuffle your feet a little bit until it goes blue. And if it's blue, you're fine, you can stand still. This enabled method to nullify this entire mechanic while just pumping out DPS into the boss and barely having to move. Vice versa though. Vice versa, Paragon did not have access to the same thing. In fact, they did it in what would be considered a Final Fantasy XIV style. Instead, they had an add-on that just assigned numbers. That was it. Through 1 through 20. That's it. All it did was do that. And then they had to come up with a dance, which is how a lot of these things are solved in FF14. They had to position themselves accordingly to make sure that these lines would accurately shoot. And it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's likely how the devs intended this mechanic to play out when it was designed.
Shit.
It's such wonderful decision making, coming up with a solution to a problem that isn't just an add-on solving the problem for you.
It's actually cool.
It's great to see.
How they figured
it's
it
really
out.
wonderful, and it shows the difference powerful add-ons can make to certain mechanics. One team can basically ignore it, the other team has to come up with a really majestic and poetic way of solving this mechanic. Ultimately, of course, Paragon did not get that world first. They came second on that one, but it was great to see how add-on usage goes in. Again, Blizzard stepped in.
Just to be clear, Paragon was the #1 guild. It was my guild. I supported them through every single World First race because they were the Horde World First guild and Method was the Alliance World First guild. And we supported Paragon all the way, bro. A bunch of Finnish guys refused to play with anyone but Finnish people, and they were boss mode, dude. So, yeah. No, we're obviously missing a lot in raiding these days because of what add-ons allow for people to do and what add-ons allow for people to circumvent.
They weren't happy, and now you'll know that the radar functionality, for example, is no longer present in raids. What about Star Augur? Star Augur, the add-on developers there, the big brains, managed to come up with a way of nullifying the Grand Conjunction mechanic. Very similar to what happened on Arkham.
This was a terrible mechanic, but I can see how it could be really cool if people actually work together.
On Mythic, this, instead of having to players visually look around the room and figure out who they could pair with, find that person, gave you a big, bold, beautiful icon and a place to go so you could go and sort it out yourself. Blizzard was not happy with this. This is the most difficult part of this fight and you guys are making a mockery of it. So they managed to fix it by making it so that you couldn't attach things to friendly nameplates. And that made it so that that add-on in particular didn't work. Blizzard has some power that they've demonstrated, and you've probably not even noticed it. Let me take you to another add-on. Have any of you ever used a leveling guide in World of Warcraft? And you've probably noticed that an arrow appears on your screen if you've got it installed, and it points you in real time in the direction you need to go. If you turn your head, the arrow will move. If you run in the wrong direction, it will tell you to turn around. It tracks physically where you are in the world. Have you ever seen it in a raid? Some of you old heads will say, yes. Yes, I have. Yep. In fact, one of the best examples of this would have been Thaddeus all the way back in vanilla. The arrow system is obviously working. It can be used today for these leveling add-ons. But it also existed in raids. And it was utilized on several encounters, telling people exactly where to move and to go to. Another example would be the rock boss inside Hellfire Citadel that had the players stand in specific positions so they could be grabbed by the hands coming out of the ground, and it would automatically assign people to the best possible location based on where they were stood, making sure nobody was going to the wrong spot. And then they broke it. But how? Well, Blizzard determined that they could break this one, and it was definitely going to be a problem going forward by making it so that add-on did not work specifically in raids, but would work in the open world. Blizzard does have that power. Okay, so they have the power then, Mike. What you're saying is they can break these things in the raid environment. That can totally happen. So why aren't they doing it with the other things, if especially it's causing them stress by having to build much more difficult fights, and as people like Yoshi P are saying, makes things worthless in some people's eyes in terms of boss raid development. And in fact, the limitation isn't on probably where they want to draw a line. In fact, I know that after having this discussion with Blizzard when I was there on their campus. Some things they can't fix. What about Queen Ashara? Now, if you don't know about Queen Ashara, and I'm not talking about tracking the debuffs that people got in there, I'm talking about Queen's Decree. Very similar to Star Augur. What is Queen's Decree for those people who've not taken part in the Queen Ashara encounter? Queen's Decree is an intermission phase. The boss is untargetable, you've finished with her ads, and you have this dance, FF14 style, that must take place before the fight will continue. It's basically a survive the dance phase. Queen's Decree gives you 2 random debuffs, and they're all different every single time you go into that fight. It could be something like Soak and Orb, which are located around the room, and run in a circle. It can be stand still and soak an orb. It can be stand with other people and soak an orb. It can be stand with other people and don't soak an orb. It can be run around and don't touch any orbs. It can be any variety of touch an orb, stand on your own, keep moving, etc. These 3 variables that get alternated between. Now then, very quickly, people came up with an add-on which simply told you in big, giant letters exactly what you needed to do, and you never had to learn the debuffs whatsoever. And it needed a little bit of setup. This required, in fact, 2 weak auras to achieve. You would have everybody use 1 weak aura, and then the commander use another one that would assign the instructions out. And also, you had to place world markers out in the world in a very specific spot, so it married up to the information the weak aura was going to tell you.
That's just
And essentially, this
me,
nullifies that mechanic like we've seen in the past. You don't have to learn anything. In fact, you just AFK, and the game tells you exactly what to do, and you just do it, and that mechanic is over. That's the same as Star Augur, right, Mike? That's the same as the other things you've talked about so far. Yes. But what can Blizzard do about that? In fact, why was that not disabled while things like Star Augur were disabled? Why things like Rock Chaos were disabled? Why was that? Well, it comes down to what can Blizzard actually do? And where does this information come from? If we look at some of the more egregious weak auras we've seen recently, such as Anduin, for example, Echo's Anduin one, or the Jailer one, simply assigning you specific holes to jump in so that nobody duplicates or overlaps, very similar to what we've seen in Queen Ashara, for example, with Queen's Decree. Can't they just disable that? No. The interesting thing about these add-ons is they actually just pull a lot of this information from the combat log. The combat log is all that is necessary in order to generate what visually appears to us as very, very powerful tools. It's not really possible to raid without the combat log. Without the combat log, you can't figure out what you were hit by, how much damage it does, how is it being divided, what type of damage it is, what went wrong. We can't log anymore. You can't use things like details. You can't use damage meters. God bless telling people they can't use damage meters anymore in World of Warcraft. While it is a thing in Final Fantasy XIV, at least for some,
players would lose
it
their
is not a
minds.
thing in World of Warcraft and never has been. It's a staple of the game. And there are many, many more add-ons that simply track what's going on in the combat log, including your nice fancy UI, which tracks your debuffs and things, is all being pulled from the combat log.
Couldn't you move certain abilities out of the combat log? Like, for example, if there are abilities like that which you don't want add-ons to deal with, you could just not have those abilities posted to the combat log. Sure, the combat log will then be a little bit, shall we say, incorrect, but at the same time, the add-ons would not be able to track it.
All that information, all those add-ons that simply change how your game looks, simple, innocent information is all pulled from the combat log, which means, as long as the combat log exists, so do these add-ons. Now, Blizzard has some things they can do, as I've just pointed out in this video, and I'd love to see your suggestions on it. In fact, many of you will probably instantly say, I can raid without a damage meter, that's no problem. I raid with default UI, it's no problem to me. I'm sure it is, for many of you, not a big issue, but for many, many more, it certainly would be an issue, including myself. I do think weak auras have got a little out of hand, but at the same time, I don't want to raid without a damage meter, and I don't want to raid without a nicer UI. I don't really want to do that. And a lot of these things use basic information, which means changing one thing snowballs and butterflies and breaks things that are completely innocent and unnecessary to be changed, and are in fact usually a pretty damn good quality of life change for many, many players. When talking to Blizzard about this, they simply said it's a problem for them to solve. And Blizzard has proved this. They've created several bosses in recent memory where add-ons just weren't a big deal. Halondrus is probably the best example. Despite outside raid leaders, tech teams that both Liquid and Echo were using, and having all these people be calls and weak aura designers and add-on designers and all these kinds of things, they couldn't really help with that fight. The mechanics of it were actually very simple, just very difficult to execute. Now, the counter to that is, of course, it became one of the, if not the most nerfed boss in history due to how difficult it was, so there's some balancing and fine-tuning there, but it did prove quite easily that you can make bosses that don't rely on add-ons.
It was a fun fight. I did
And in fact, it's very arguable
only
that
on
these
LFR,
weak
but it was still
auras,
fun.
such as the jailer dropping in the holes, aren't a big deal in the first place, and the players could easily do it. And we could look at the same as the Anduin one, with Scripe famously saying it took us 3 months to design this Anduin weak aura, and Liquid didn't, and it wasn't a problem because they just YOLO'd it and it was fine. A lot of times, these add-ons that look fantastical and crazy and all those...
So, Rob the Fool, a lot of these add-ons are created by, like I already said, world first guilds. They'll have a hand in that development, and obviously the developers there are paid to make those. But then also a lot of add-ons just have Patreon pages. If you go over to Deadly Boss Mods, for example, it has a Patreon page. And that Patreon page, the last time I checked, the guy makes $7,000, maybe more, dollars per month. You know, just making Deadly Boss Mods. So they do get paid, you know. I wouldn't say they make much more than that. So they're obviously not going to make a lot of money selling data or anything like that, because those add-ons don't really collect data. And I don't think advertisers are really interested in what we do in WoW, so to speak. But they do obviously make money. Not all. There's obviously, for a lot of people, the mods are just a passion project. But there are those that take it very seriously, that do actually full-time work on those add-ons.
Kinds of things are all manageable without in a decent way. But it definitely does cause some issues when they get out of hand, and that's where Blizzard likes to draw the line with their boss designs to go for. But just bear in mind, just turning add-ons off might seem simple enough, but honestly, it has a snowball effect that you need to consider. I personally would kind of like to try it out. I like it. It's fun. Everything I do in Final Fantasy XIV involves no add-ons, and I do everything blind, and I have the greatest of times. I don't feel that way when I go to World of Warcraft. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. I want to give a massive shout out and thank you to WeakAuras for helping us with a lot of information in this video, and of course Just Wait for filling in a lot of blanks with his long history of add-on design. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to check out our website for a lot more Blizzard interviews, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
I wonder what would happen if Blizzard for a month disabled all add-ons. Just for a month. Blizzard came out and said, right, guys, we're doing a test. For the next month, there will be no add-ons. So add-on usage will be completely disabled in World of Warcraft, just to see how people go through it. And on that month, you make WoW free. So for a month, WoW is completely free. So you don't lose any money by, for a month you can't play the game. But it's an interesting opportunity to see the kind of feedback. So at the end of that month, you send out surveys to every single person that played the game throughout the month, and you ask them, hey, how did you feel about this game? Like, how did you feel about WoW without add-ons? Was it good? What did it feel like for you? I wonder how people would react to that. Like, I genuinely wonder what that feedback would look like in World of Warcraft. The vocal minority would turn crazy. Yeah, but this is why you send out a survey, because the survey is going to tell you whether or not you are dealing with a vocal minority, or if you're dealing with an actual majority of people that is very upset and isn't enjoying the game right now. Right? With that said, though, guys, my stomach is really not feeling great. The burn is back. And that medication doesn't seem to help, so I'm going to go take some tablets and see if I can sort that shit. Because, yeah, it's just... it's fucking uncomfortable, dude. Just sitting here and my... literally feels like it's on fire. I don't know what the hell. No, Cesius, it's nothing I ate. I haven't eaten in, like... over 24 hours? Right? So it's nothing I ate. It's literally, it feels like, I imagine it's what a stomach ulcer type of thing would feel like. It feels like my stomach, it feels like the acid in my stomach is burning the stomach lining, so to speak. That's what it feels like. But it's not food. Like I said, I haven't eaten in over 24 hours. Oh, well, I ate some druvors, which is just meat, so it couldn't have been that, right? But I have medication, so I'll just go drink more of that, and hopefully that fixes things. But yeah, the biltong, The biltong shouldn't cause this. At least I've never had that with biltong before, so it would be wild if it did actually. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank all of you for coming out, for spending your evening with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Please be kind to each other, be good to each other. I'll be back tomorrow for another stream, more reacts, more games, more everything, really. And we'll probably... I don't know yet what we'll play tomorrow. I don't know yet, but I'll let you guys know, right? I really appreciate all of you. Be kind to each other. Be good to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.